Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings and welcome to the program. It's time for some Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm Tom Connors. We are here with a special guest we're going to talk to. We've got Price of Reason. Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We'll tell our audience who you are exactly in just a moment, but I just wanted to make sure I introduced you right away. We also have with us Brian, aka That 70s Rock Fan. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you? You're
I'm
quiet.
doing the best I can. We also have with us all 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. How you doing?
I'm doing quite huge. Glad to be here. Hello, chat. Hello, wrenches. Hello to our excellent.
This is Nick right now.
Hey.
Who knows why? He's ready to go. No, we know why. It's because Midnight's Edge After Dark is live. That's why.
Right. We're here. And
We also have, so we also have, well, on that note, we also have joining us Clobbering Times. How you doing, Captain Clobbering Times? We got Jack Kirby there.
Hey there, buddy. Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late, but great to see you, my good friends on the panel and amazing people in the chat. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all.
Hello.
We're glad to have you here. And as I said, we have a guest with us today. We also have a super chat right off the bat. Emerald Sales says, Waffles the Bear says hello. Well, hello, Waffles the Bear. How are you doing? I'm assuming that might be one of Emerald Sales' creations, because I'm not familiar with Waffles the Bear. All right. Well, we also have... no, I guess we don't. I thought we had another super chat, but we do not. But what we do have, we got, this is what I was looking for. Cool Gamer has become a member. Thank you so very much for that, Cool Gamer. I didn't catch the level though. Here, let me see. I'm sorry, I'm moving my stuff around here so I can see everything. Maximum Effort Puppy, and when we get a new member, we do a sticker here. So here's a Maximum Effort Puppy for Cool Gamer. Thank you so very much.
Yes.
Doggy.
Hey. Now, the reason I asked our friend Price of Reason here today is you may recognize his name because he has been the one who's been corresponding with me and Bounding Into Comics about this whole Splinter is gay business.
I guess that's what I'm known for.
Well, you brought it to my attention, and because you asked me about it, and you're like, Tom, in this movie, did you catch whether or not they gave the gender of Scumbug? And I said, I think I vaguely remember them referring to it as a she. All I know is it's just disgusting. And you showed me the in fact, there's several posters that have Scumbug listed as himself. And of course, for those who may not know why this is relevant, is because this incarnation of Scumbug ends up hooking up with Splinter. And Price of Reason, you also seen the movie like I have. So why don't you give us kind of the brief breakdown of how this all came to be for you and the story kind of got out there.
Okay. Uh, I'll t- I'll try to start from the beginning. Basically, I was minding my own business, and you know how sometimes you get an email where there's like a last minute ticket to see a movie.
Yeah.
So usually I'm on all these kind of services, and sometimes I know people and whatever, and usually I get these ones that are like, do you want to see a drama about like two women in 1950? And like you know that I'm not going to go see that. You know what I mean? But like suddenly I got a thing and it says like, do you want to see like an advanced screening today of like a press, whatever? It was like something that even press were there, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm like, sure, I want to go to there. And like I was actually kind of happy. I knew that like Seth Rogen, I didn't really trust him because like, I liked his stoner comedies like, way back in the day, but I
Yeah,
didn't
like
really
Super
trust
Bad
it.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, he had those kind of Pineapple Express, whatever was fine, but it's not the type of person that I want in charge of the Ninja Turtles, which is something that I kind of grew up with. And, you know, I consider myself very knowledgeable, not as knowledgeable as you, but I feel like, I've read at least some of the old comics, I've seen the animation, I like the original movies. And I said to myself, maybe he won't ruin it. Maybe there's just a little bit of hope that he won't ruin this thing. And then, like, I went to this movie and it was awful. This movie was like terrible, and you saw it too, so you know exactly what I mean. And like, I walked out of it, and the second I walked out, I actually DM'd you, if you remember.
Yeah, and as I said, this is kind of where I remember you asking me about it, and my response was, "Yeah, I vaguely remember them saying like she, but yeah,
I'll just give my experience. Basically, like, first of all, if you like the Ninja Turtles, this is a really difficult version of the Ninja Turtles to watch because, like, maybe if I didn't know anything about them and I thought that these were just four random creatures and like they meant nothing to me, I'd probably sit in this movie and think this is some dumb movie for kids. But if you actually know these characters and you're trying to understand, they've gender swapped some of them, they've changed the characters of all of them. They're not acting like they've changed the DNA of everything we're looking at so much that at some point you don't even quite know what you're even looking at, and it's a bit even overwhelming. It's everything is happening quickly. It's kind of this ADHD rapid fire nonsense. And you see that for 90 minutes, and then in the final minute, after like I'm exhausted, 90 minutes of like absolute crap, suddenly like Splinter walks up to like Scumbug, starts making out with him, she, whatever it is, and then in the next scene he's like, oh, I love you, Scumbug, I love you, and the movie ends. And I'm like, what is this? So I walk out of the theater and I immediately like DM you because I'm like, Ninja Turtles. If you saw this, you'd be upset, and you were just about to go see your advanced screening when I DM'd you initially.
yeah, yeah." So I I didn't really put two and two together right away until you had talked to me some more following that, and then the story come out in Bounding, like not long after you had talked to me again about it, and then you brought that, of course, to my attention as well. And yeah, like, so what happened here is clearly the after the Bounding article came out, we reported on it along with several other YouTubers, including Yellow Flash and some others. And not only that, Andrew Tate and who else was it you sent me an image of had tweeted out the story?
Keemstar, whatever his name is.
Teamster, yes,
Keemstar.
that's it. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, and then all of a sudden I noticed on my retweet of the original UK version of the art, because this is not just the UK, it was in the US art and a couple other places that you had found that this had occurred in, where it says that Scumbug is himself, or refers to Scumbug as a male. And yeah, and that's kind of the crutch of this whole thing. So the story had gotten out there. I noticed maybe, what was it, like an hour after our morning show, I think it was, I messaged you and I retweeted it out that they're clearly scrubbing this because, yeah, they pulled down the original tweet that I had retweeted. And I think you noticed a few things too. And then all of a sudden you sent me this story because the director had come out and talked about it
Who was it? Slash Film?
Slash Film, who, between you and me, I mean, I don't want to just, say
This all
things or
happened by
make.
yesterday afternoon. Yeah.
The funny thing is, it was all happening like at the same time. You send me a tweet, you're like, "Look, they're scrubbing it," and 5 minutes later, I suddenly see the article, and I'm like, "Look at this!" And it's like it's all happening so quickly, as if there's like somewhere within some company, within the studio, whatever it is, they're now like they have a team of people working on it. In my opinion, you know what I mean? Like at that moment, they want to clean this mess up like as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's my impression.
So needless to say, yesterday afternoon, John quickly threw together this update on the story, which brings us to where we're at now. And this also brings up what I just said here about the director attempting to explain away the gay.
Wow.
So the director, Jeff Rowe, attempted to explain away the gay Splinter while Paramount deleted the evidence. It was reported by YouTuber and reviewer Price of Reason that he had believed the film depicted Splinter as gay after watching an early screening of it. As we just covered, he stated, to add insult to injury, the end of the movie, Splinter is seen making out with Scumbug, as he just reiterated. Now that in and of itself is already out of character. Splinter, as we've known him for years, as it just doesn't seem like something he would do. Of course, these are your words, Price of Reason.
I agree, and I agree with what you're saying.
He agrees with his own words, folks. Did you hear that? No, and then so it goes on here, and this is the original post that I had posted and you had pointed out and everything from the UK version where it says himself, and there's a US variant that's very similar. And I think you said you'd found it on a couple other websites and other promotional items.
Yeah, there were like legitimate websites, even like Yahoo, things like that, places that were like promoting the movie, and they had this poster. In this thing with the Slash Film where they gave like the director an exclusive, he gave them like an exclusive interview. He says like, the second I found out about it, I was very furious. And it's like, and he makes it seem like he found out about it the second they posted it. And it's like, it's been a month since then, and they've posted this everywhere. How furious could this guy have been if he didn't do anything for a month,
So rodents and bugs are making out in the new Ninja Turtles movie?
They totally are. And even if it wasn't like a thing where I thought they were trying to make it like, LGBT, I still wouldn't like it. I still saw it and I'm like, why is Splinter making out with a bug now,
Yeah, it's just very unsplinter. It's just very unsplinter. Even if it was just a girl, it's Splinter.
Well, this is not even Splinter in the movie, let me tell you, Nick, and I know you haven't seen it.
Oh, I'm sure it's.
It
Come on,
is one
dude.
of the farthest
I was
things,
expecting
man.
a faithful version.
I know, but dude,
from
like
Seth Rogen.
I mean,
TMNT.
Price of Reason does a great job. You did a great job in your review of explaining exactly what's wrong with this character. Splinter has always been the father figure, the guy who's always been the leader. He's never been bigoted towards humans like he is here. Sure, he's warned the turtles about how they will react to them, but he's never out and out treated humans like they're the, that's the thing that also doesn't make any sense with this movie. Like I said, like it feels like it's missing several story beats, because when the turtles meet Superfly, most of them should agree with half of what he's saying. And it's really kind of weird how it plays out. The movie is 90 minutes of just bare bones story mixed with all of the turtles and their mutants characters completely rewritten for whatever reason. I mean, you literally have over half a dozen mutants that have had their backstory rewritten that this is not even who they are.
Bebop and Rocksteady, like that really confused me because
yeah, that was one that really like, what the heck?
Why are they like kind of friends with them? You know what I mean? Like the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. And like I said, if you don't know anything about this franchise and you're just watching it and you don't care and you like Seth Rogen and his humor, then I guess it's okay. You know what I mean? But
the lowest common denominator of Seth's humor too. That's the problem.
Can I clear something up here? Is this movie for kids or not for kids?
It managed to get away with a PG rating.
Right.
And I mean, Price of Reason's not wrong. There's a lot of gross out business in this movie.
when there's making out in it.
Like when
Of
they,
the
the
kind.
scene that he's just talking about specifically is one of the grossest because you have, Splinter and this character here you see on screen, full on mouth to mouth making out, not just kissing or pecking, full on making out. And this character is spewing green crud out their mouth through the whole movie. And they basically imply, and it's kind of obvious that green spewy shit is being spat into Splinter's mouth when they're making out too. It is friggin' nasty.
I mean, I'll play devil's advocate. Would not a lot of kids find that quite funny? They like gross stuff, don't they? Kids. I mean, I'm just playing devil's
advocate. No, I get your point. So yeah, I can understand. Yeah, kids liking gross things. I mean, kids do gross
but
things.
that's where I was saying that this movie is basically what parents thought Ninja Turtles was when it first came out. It's not actually what Ninja Turtles was.
Okay.
I agree with you. I feel like there was something cool about the Ninja Turtles. I know it's a weird word to use. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but like there was something about these characters that was interesting. That like Splinter especially, I always really liked him because he was like their master. That's another thing in the movie. They don't call him Master Splinter. Previously they used to call him Master Splinter. In some versions, they're like bowing to him when he talks. You know what I mean? He's like he's their sensei. And this one, they're like, "Oh, Dad, I don't feel like it," and I'm just like, "What is this?"
So whiny teens.
You know what I think happened? I think they wrote a general story, and they kind of just tacked on the TMNT names and made a few tweaks to adjust for the TMNT to adjust to whatever is the pre-written story. And I'm not joking. I would not put it past that because we have seen that happen in recent memory with some IPs or certain characters. It's even happening a little bit in comics where a writer will come in, they'll have an idea, and they'll outright say, "Oh yeah, I came with this full script and I just tacked on some names to it." And that could explain why a lot of these characters don't seem like the characters, more so just in name only. I mean, does that not sound way out of possibility, the realm of possibility?
Yeah, they're wearing the shell of the IP. They're wearing it as a suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could see that, especially with Seth Rogen. This type of humor stuff, all what sounds like from what I'm hearing from you guys, this all sounds like something Seth Rogen may have had a hand in, I guess, writing, assuming that he definitely write.
Him and Evan Goldberg.
So he probably had a story set, and then he tacked on their names.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I honestly, you want to know what I think, Nick? It was more so, and I'll let you go ahead, Brian, after this.
Okay.
I compare this more to the Kevin Smith joining Motu thing. This was going to happen with or without him. They brought him in as a name because from what I had heard from a separate source, the one that I normally hear my Paramount news from and has been really solid on it, flat out told me the only reason this exists and the only reason they're announcing this series and sequel to it already has nothing to do with trying to bolster the box office. This movie has already done what it has to do. It just has to fulfill licensing. And I brought this up to you, Nick, and you were like, "Oh, it's not like the Fantastic Four thing." What I'm talking about is they actually have toy licenses already out there that have to be fulfilled, and all these other kind of things. So like Playmates wanted toys to be able to put on the shelves, so they made this movie and show to fulfill the next few years of those licenses because Rise of TMNT wasn't.
But to give them it could make money. I mean, it wasn't a big budget, was it? So
this is going to make money, sadly.
It's going to make money,
and it was made basically to amortize the TV series. Yeah,
so it will make money. So I mean, they've made it for a relative, not a modest budget. I think was it 70 million or something. So it'll make that money and more. So that's a bonus for them that it'll make money. As you say, it's the licensing stuff that they really wanted.
Well, and that's where Turtles really makes its money at the end of the day is all the toys. And I mean, that's what I said. When they were already licensed to the hilt before Nickelodeon bought Ninja Turtles. When Nickelodeon bought them, you literally started seeing the Turtles show up on shit that you would never imagine, like condoms and everything. Like anything you could put in Ninja Turtle. I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't licensed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle condoms.
Probably.
Like, I'm not kidding. They are on everything now.
Nick, look that up on the internet right now.
That actually sounds kind of interesting.
So I'd heard this movie being praised in the mainstream reviews as being smart and with good writing.
I don't know who the hell said that, but they are retarded.
So yeah, so it's like, well, when I say mainstream, I'm talking Collider and various
Again, they're
sites
retarded,
like
but
that,
yeah. Just,
I wasn't giving them any credit.
I'm not gonna
but
pull any punches with this shit, man.
But they're
I've even been
crazy
out
for
there
things
saying
like
like anybody who says this is a good movie is not a TMNT fan. And I've gotten some shit from like Lofty Pixels and some others about gatekeeping. I'm like, you know what? We need to start gatekeeping this shit.
Yes. Gatekeeping is, as we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, gatekeeping is required.
I'm glad you're doing it. Absolutely.
It's more like quality control, not really gatekeeping in this case, I think.
I agree with you.
I love your I love your previous point, Price of Reason, because it's like the Ninja Turtles were characters that kids would respect. They'd respect the themes, they'd respect the characters, the stories. You can do gross out humor, you'll get a laugh from, from toilet humor and everything like that, but you won't get the respect that lasts, that'll sell products, that'll keep them talking and remembering it, that'll develop the fans like you, Tom, lifelong fans. You don't
Well,
get
that's
that
just it.
from,
I mean, and I agree with Price of Reason. Had I walked out of this movie going, you know what, it's not made for me, but it sticks to the basics, and it's a Ninja Turtle movie made for 6-year-olds, I wouldn't have cared. My problem is it's not Ninja Turtles.
So I can confirm I've done the hard work for you. Yes, there are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle condoms. But there are also Batman condoms.
Somebody is sending that stuff to me.
Dragon Ball and
are they actual licensed though? That's the question.
Well, this is it. Could they be? It could be fan made. Yes,
that's what I'm assuming. Yeah, in most cases.
Yeah,
but
and that's my
you'd
internet
be surprised.
Ruined now.
My internet ruined now. It's just condoms. It's not like
there'll be a knock on the door any minute.
Your wife will be more wondering, like, what the fuck are you looking up condoms for?
What are you looking up?
I worry more about your marriage than your internet there, buddy. But anyway, so moving on with this story here, because it continues, because as we mentioned, the director has an excuse for what happened here.
It wasn't me. A big boy did it and ran away.
So in an update in the comments section of this video, Price of Reason stated, people have been telling me that they just saw Mutant Mayhem and somebody refers to Scumbug as she. I wanted to address this. When I saw the early screening 5 days ago, to the best of my recollection, Scumbug's gender wasn't mentioned one way or another. And that's where I said, I don't really... Yeah, and even if it was, that means they changed it at the last minute. And I guess some people have also said that in the novelization, evidently it refers to her as a she. So regardless, as we're pointing out here, though, that doesn't change the fact that that probably wasn't the initial intent. And I agree with Price of Reason's theory that this was changed late in the game. And that's what you think, right, Price of Reason? That
is absolutely. And keep in mind, after the movie, and you know this because we interacted, I wasn't doing this, to be mean-spirited or anything like that. I was just trying to do an accurate review. I didn't like the movie, but I really was trying to understand that final part. And this character of like Scumbug doesn't talk in the movie. So if it was like a man or a woman, you wouldn't have known because it just looks like a bug and it doesn't talk. So later people were like, didn't you notice that after 45 minutes, like into the movie, somebody said she? And I'm like, do you realize how much nonsense, how many mutants, how much crap there is in this movie in like 90 minutes? I didn't see it to the best of my recollection. I didn't see that. But if somebody said she, A, it could have been dubbed later, and B, if nothing else, this whole thing is very confusing. That's why I was talking to you, and you yourself were like, we were speculating, because I think we both had sort of this kind of, we weren't 100% sure either way. And then I showed you the posters, and I'm like, well, they're saying that it's a guy. So you're like, okay, well, that's what they meant, that it's a guy.
Yeah, because I kind of sort of remember like Splinter saying something along the lines of, I'm in love with her, or she loves me, or something like that. So like, I do remember him saying in the screening I saw at least once, I think, because otherwise I would have brought it up in my review. And I'm really sure Culture or Six would have caught it and said something as well. But I mean, then again, like I was trying to tell you after we started talking about it, I was just kind of taken aback by the grossness of it. Right. And look, I expected some grossness in this movie. Don't get me wrong. It's I almost said Kevin Smith. It's Seth
Same thing.
Rogen. So, I mean, I
Same
kind of
thing.
expected some of that, but this was just over the line. So that just kind of put me off altogether. The fact that I wasn't surprised with it being a gender swapped character. I didn't even think to look at the promotional material like you did, Price of Reason. So, like I said, all credit goes to you as far as putting 2 and 2 together and figuring this out, because I agree with you. I think late in the game, because these ads have been up for well over a month,
Right.
as we'll find out here in the later part of the story. And I'm just like, what the hell? Why would they even do something like that? And I agree with you. I think that that was the initial plan, is they were going to put Splinter in this gay relationship with this character. And since the character who is actually voiced by Jeff Rowe, I believe, because it's just a bunch of kind of noises. But other than that, Price of Reason's right. It's hard to kind of remember any of the dialogue from this movie because A, none of it's snappy. B, 9 times out of 10, everybody's talking over each other worse than we do on these streams. Like, it's
Yes.
literally like walking into a junior high school. Like, everybody just blah, 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 through the whole movie.
Yes.
Non-stop.
Yes.
And I also
Finally.
agreed with you in the way the turtles were portrayed, like this whole, because it's really almost insulting more so that and I don't even know if you pointed this part out, but in the beginning of the film of how actual decent they are at Ninja stealing shit, basically being their own Foot Clan, but when it actually comes to using the ninja for battle, they accidentally kick ass all 3 or 4 times until the very, 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 very end. At which point they need all the mutants' help to beat Superfly. Yeah.
I actually didn't mention that, and I agree with you 100%. But there was like only so much I could talk about in this review. Honestly, I could have gone for like another like 20 or 30 minutes just saying what I don't like.
Right.
But at some point, but you're right. Another thing I didn't like is that like it's like they arrive at some warehouse and they're like, oh no, we've never battled bad guys. What do we do? And they start like, and it's almost like a fluke that they like beat them. And I'm like, this just annoys me. I don't know why. I can't even explain it.
So yeah, as you said though, Price, the Turtles, I mean, I'm not as familiar with them other than when my kids were young, we watched the first movie and some of the TV stuff, and they were always meant to be cool. Ninjas are cool. Ninjas are not
and even when they
corny.
were young, they were very
Yeah.
adaptable and learned how
Yeah.
to pick up on things really quick.
Yeah, and the whole concept of ninjas and senseis and whatever, it's meant to be a respectful, cool thing about learning and tradition, and it's not meant to be. They're not meant to be gross screw ups or whatever. So
Yeah,
I think
no, and that's
it's
just
a bad,
especially
it's a bad note.
Splinter.
Yeah, it's a bad
And the
note.
way they treat Splinter, Price is right. The Price is right. No, they
Come on down.
Come on down, Price. No, he's right. They treat him very disrespectfully. The story makes him out to be completely moronic. I mean, the milking thing could have been funny, but they milk it literally so far to the point that by the time you actually get to the machine and he's like, see, I told you they were going to milk you, that the joke is really kind of beaten into the ground. And again, it's nothing new that's never been done in the series before. The story is a funny that X-Men is showing up to the right of the screen right now, because it is basically a rip-off of the first X-Men movie at the end of the day. The whole point of what Superfly is trying to do is the same exact thing that Magneto was doing. And if he would actually succeeded in building his machine, then it probably would have ended just like that and the first 2014 Ninja Turtle movie would, with shit shooting in the sky. I guarantee it.
The notion I got from your review last week was that their abilities are not earned in this movie. They don't learn.
Oh, not at all.
Like it's just haphazard. It's accidental. It's like Jar Jar Binks, rather than they actually trained and learned from mistakes, and like it's much more rewarding when they have a path to becoming what they are, right? When they have to fail, but they teach themselves, they learn, they practice. That's part of the whole ninja philosophy. Is you grind it out,
If there's one flaw with the original comics, CC, it's that they don't have characterizations really. I mean, they're just kind of they're all kind of interchangeable except for Raph. And in the series and in the initial movie is where they really kind of formed their personalities for the turtles. And it really kind of they have none of that personality here, really. Like even Raph is kind of the closest, but even he's like a misunderstood version of what Raph really is. Cause like that explanation, where did that come from, Price, that John had put in there? Was it a French website or something like that? But basically it says all Raph wants to do in life is punch somebody in the stomach hard enough so they puke. Like,
yes, he had it from some. It was like a website that has the toys for the movie or something.
yeah.
And right, and then they give the descriptions, and one of them is like, "I want to be in a boy band, K-pop.
That's
I want to be a
Donatello.
K-pop." That already, like, I have to discredit that site if he needs to be like a K-pop star. Like, I feel like we need to discredit that site.
Well, this is what they did to Donatello, right? He's no longer into machines and gadgets. He's an
No,
anime geek. That's what he is in this movie. And that's what really turned me off too, going off of what you were saying, CC, about the personalities, is the weapons really, and this is where I was bringing up the point of the weapons the other day too, is the weapons really fit their personalities. And in this movie, like Donatello gripes through the whole movie about being stuck with a stick. Now, in the reality, we all know
I associated the weapons with the characters. So Graph has his like, yeah.
You can do a lot of damage with a stick.
They take that away from them.
well, it's just in Donatello's mind, like as the way he thinks, he can do a lot with a stick compared to what like Michelangelo could do with a stick. Like that's the whole point, is he sees it, he can use it in different ways that, and that to me is against what the character's supposed to be. He is they're all proud of what they are, right? They want to show the world who they are.
Yeah.
right. They want to be heroes or something. They want to go to the outside world supposedly, but then they act like idiots.
They don't even really want to be heroes in this. They just want to be accepted. They don't even decide to be heroes until the very end. No, I'm kidding, Nick.
Very modern.
Their whole motivation,
the typical modern logic of being validated.
Their whole motivation, Nick, is they want to go to high school. So April gets the idea that if they stop Superfly, then the city will see that they're the good guys and will accept them.
And also, she'll stop barfing green vomit all the time. No, this is true.
It's
she
a
barfs
good thing I did not pay money and give up my time to see this.
No,
I would have lost my mind. Maybe throw a chair, punch a hole. Oh man!
I'm not making this up. The real Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. Was she not vomiting green vomit, and then at the end they wrote on her locker
all over herself?
Oh, we've all done that.
Man, I really did luck out having a moon bounce. Man.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the April O'Neil is in high school, first of all. And she is doing some kind of blog or something. It's never really kind of exactly specified, but she's clearly interested in reporting news and stuff. But her whole thing is she's nervous about being in front of the camera. So when she tried doing the school announcements one day, she puked all over herself in front of the camera. So that's the whole joke there. So now the whole school makes fun of her, calls her April O'Puke and all that kind of stuff. It's not even clever. Like, that's the other problem is, it would be one thing if this was funny in like a satirical way, but it's not even fucking clever.
No. And they don't give her much of an arc. Basically, I give them credit that at least supposedly she has a flaw, that she likes to barf. But aside from the barfing, she doesn't really have, like, she's the best. She's the best reporter, young reporter ever. It's just her only flaw is if you bring a camera, she gets nervous and she barfs. But by the end of the movie, the turtles keep telling her how great she is, so she doesn't barf anymore.
Great. Yeah, another female character who has to be told how great they are.
And then they're all in love with her, which is also weird. They're all in love with her.
Especially Leo.
Yes, and he wants to go to the dance with her, and then she's like, "We're just friends," or something like that. And which is, all of this is annoying. And then on their locker, people write April O'Hero, girl boss. And that's one of the final shots in the movie. It says April O'Hero, girl shot. Tom, am I wrong, or is this really?
No, he's 100%. He's not saying anything that's not in the movie. And speaking of what you were saying here,
retarded.
Price, you go on to say, as we were just talking about, your For whatever it's worth, this is what I believe happened. Perhaps, as I mentioned in my video, the whole concept was initially meant to be more ambiguous in the movie itself, or it was toned down very recently. And this is what we just talked about earlier about the gay thing. And perhaps they also inserted a last minute overdub in the movie referring to Scumbug once as she in order to close the loophole that would potentially cause any backlash. And then you concluded, Price, that I want everybody here to know that I take these reviews very seriously and I would never want to mislead anybody. This whole Scumbug and Splinter relationship, if anything else, is very confusing, and I could only do a review based on the information I had available when you're making it. So, you know, you're just saying you're not trying to stir controversy. You didn't make this shit up, right?
No.
Like, I mean, this is there. There's precedent for it. And yeah, I mean, there's even a couple individuals in our, and I don't know if you saw this in the threads that we have going on with this Price, where somebody from the other side is more upset that they didn't follow through with it.
Yes,
That would
yes,
figure.
that makes sense. You always
That
have
makes
always
sense.
like, oh, basically they wanted to try to avoid this. I think that they wanted to try to avoid it and do it as quietly as possible. Because if it would have turned out that he was supposed to be that, but then he wasn't, then you have like the ones that you said, the reverse, the you know, kind of like activists that want that to happen. They show up, you know.
Yes, where they want the character to be gay coded, basically. So then what happened was, and I think you're right, there's oversight though. The oversight was is they didn't clean up their evidence,
Right. They didn't clean
and
up
you
the
found the
mess.
evidence.
Right.
Yes, and in the finding of the evidence, myself on Midnight's Edge in the Morning, through your video and reporting through Bounding on into Comics, brought this up and brought attention to it. Andrew Tate brought attention to it. Keemster brought attention to it. So I'm guessing through the bevy of attention that this was getting, the Yellow Flash video, the other videos that were, I even think, trying to remember who else did. A bunch of us YouTubers did videos on this, so it was being talked about. And like Price of Reason said, as far as the timing goes, it was like not even an hour, 45 minutes after I'd gotten off the morning show, and I was scrolling through my Twitter when I noticed, as it says here, Paramount is trying to cover up the evidence that they tried to make Splinter gay. Yes, that day after the morning show. It was there for the morning show because I showed it on the morning show. So somewhere between the morning show and the afternoon, when I got to check the Twitter, early afternoon, they had started scrubbing it. This when I brought it to your attention, and some others had kind of noticed it. And yeah, and this article got written pretty quickly by John. So yeah, so now I said to you in private, now we just sit back and wait for them to try and cover it up again. But I don't think they're going to try and do it at this point, because actually they had Jeff Rowe come out and talk to Slash Film, which is kind of hilarious. And his whole reasoning behind it, where'd it go here? Here we go. Go ahead, Price, and then I'll read Jeff Rowe's response.
I'm saying that it was a clever workaround. Whatever they did was clever. That's why I tend to think that there was like an emergency team sitting on this. I don't think that this is just like some receptionist asked Jeff Rowe to go do that interview. I think that
hell no.
Once executives saw what was going on, what you had been doing, what you did on Midnight's Edge, the article that included the review and your tweets, and all, once they understood what was going on, I feel like this became an emergency situation. I'm not saying that just to like, you know, pat our own backs or anything.
No.
I'm looking at articles that even try to kind of discredit us. You know what I mean? There were a few kind of shill ones that are like, oh, all these people, they said this. It's like, what are you blaming me for? You had a poster. This character doesn't speak. And to be fair, I actually reached out to you before I did the review. And when I was trying to figure out if it was male or female, now it wasn't 100% clear. Even you, because the character doesn't talk, you weren't like, dude, don't you see it's a woman? Like, it's a fly that doesn't talk. You know what I mean? And originally it was a male.
Yeah.
So we were going back and forth about this. I don't think we left this like discussion between you and I that we were 100% sure. And then that's why I went and looked at the promotional material thinking, well, if there's no 100% way to solve it, I'll look at what Paramount says. And they said it was a guy. Like, so that's how I did it. It's not even like mean-spirited. I was just trying to explain what they've done to his character. You know what I mean? They already ruined like so many things about him. You know, if you want to do, this is what I always say to people, and I think we all agree on this. If these kind of more activist people, if Seth Rogen wants to do like teenage crime fighters, the Seth Rogen teenage crime fighters, and he wants to give them all these characteristics and do all this stuff with them, that's on him. He can release that movie, and if people want to see it and he succeeds, good for him. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't. But to take something that's like a pop culture staple, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and to just, completely vandalize every one of these characters, and you change so much of the
Figuratively
DNA of
vomit all over it. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, at the end, once you change so much of the DNA of it, it's not that property anymore. And that's what you wrote to me. That was your one sentence that you wrote to me when you left the theater. You wrote to me, "This ain't TMNT." That's what you wrote in your DM.
Well, Price, you're saying all this stuff, which obviously I 100% agree with, but that's also exactly why this is happening, because they know if Seth Rogen just puts out something that is his own characters where they do all these things, they don't want to take a chance at it because they want something that has a pre-existing fan base, has the established audience. They don't want to do the legwork to do that because they don't like taking chances on those.
Which is
type of
exactly
things.
why they brought him in.
And
And that's what I was saying.
Yeah, they brought him in along with, okay, well, TMNT, people know that. So that this once again, where I do wonder at times they write a story and they tack on all these things. Maybe it didn't happen this, but it's clear there's got to be at least variations of that going around in Hollywood, because they
I think it's
are
pure
adjusting.
ignorance,
They
Nick.
are just. Oh man, I don't. Maybe you're right.
They signed him onto this, and then he didn't really do the footwork to figure out what Ninja Turtles was.
Yes.
He watched like 2 or 3 episodes of the old show, go, okay, I remember what it was now. Maybe watch the movie once.
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
Sounds about
I don't
right.
either,
I
honestly,
really
because
don't
I think if he
so.
would have watched the
I think
movie,
you're
he'd
giving
have had a
him too
better
much
take.
credit.
I
actually
do,
think you're giving
yeah.
too much credit with that
So,
one.
so just to clear this up, in order to not make Splinter gay, they've had to make Splinter have relations with bugs.
Yes.
It's just the same. It was going to be a bug regardless.
All right,
but
it's going to be a bug regardless.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, but like what Price is saying is they aren't very clear in the movie because half the character they don't really specify. And the fact that they have these posters with the characters on them, and he's only okay, so let's just get into Jeff's point here because this is what covers this. So Jeff wrote, this is what was weird because I was expecting him just to cover it up, right? I wasn't expecting them to actually drag the director out and have him address it, which tells me what Price is 100% right. And I know Paramount pays attention to us. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I know they do. But at the same time, I would honestly believe that Andrew Tate's tweet probably got more attention than ours talking about it did. That being said,
I just want to say
it all. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
want to say one thing. Without basically you and me and bounding into comics, I think that Andrew Tate would never even know about this.
Exactly.
Meaning, like, even before I did my review and I mentioned you in my review, I wanted to really learn about like what I think they're doing in the movie, and we had like an extensive exchange about it. I don't just like make videos or make like say stuff without even considering anything. We had a real conversation about it, and it was important to me to try to figure out what the movie intended. So yeah, I think that like Andrew Tate and all those people, I would say there was a snowball. I'm like the beginning of the snowball. Bounding into comics made the snowball bigger, and you and Midnight's Edge made it even bigger. And once it reached that like level of like size of your live stream in that morning that you were like talking about this thing, I feel like that's when the wheels started getting in motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not
that's
surprised.
when I think that's when I think something started happening where they're like, we have a problem. We need to get like executives here. We need a PR team. How do we solve this? And this was a clever way out of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it did cause enough people to keep trying to post this response, which clearly was a response that was drafted after all this shit was taken down, and this was all done in the process of, because it had to be, because the timing of it was just all boom, boom, boom. And so Jeff said it was a marketing error.
Yeah,
Oopsie. That was a marketing mistake, and we were furious about it. I love how he talks about it in the past like it was a while ago. Like they didn't just find out about it in the last 2 days. Because Price is right. I guarantee you they didn't even fucking notice this because it was an oversight. They're like, fuck. Anyway, they put that out, and I don't know who did it or how that happened, but we were immediately like, that's not true. Don't put that in the world. but it got out in the world. So what you're saying here doesn't add up, Jeff. Anyway, and that will now be on the internet forever. You're damn right it is. But that was never the intention. Yeah, you tried to scrub it, but you knew it was forever. That was never the character. We always imagined her to be a female cockroach. And that one poster was
still a cockroach.
I know, I get what you're
Male,
saying,
female,
CC, and let's just ignore the obvious there, but like it wasn't just one poster either, Price. That's the problem. That's the problem.
It was,
so not one
was a
damn thing
different
Jeff
market.
is saying adds up at all.
No. You know, another thing I want to say is that he makes it seem, you'd think that like 100, they spent 80 million to make the movie and another 40 to market it. He makes it seem like this is all happening like in a lemonade stand. You know what I mean? And like the intern at the lemonade stand just said, whatever, I'm just going to post all these weird things. And like, it's a character that he himself, I think, plays, and he doesn't know what the character looks like on the poster. He never got to see these posters before they were released. $120 million have been put into it, and there's nobody like looking. There's no oversight. I don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly. Like him talking like this was something in the past. It makes it sound even worse because it's like, dude, you slipped up. There was more than one poster out there. And you didn't address this before you brought it up. It'd be different if this was pulled from an interview from like a half a month ago or like last week or something like that. No, this was all done within the couple hours after the 24 hours that you discovered it. And like you just said, the snowball effect happened. You could try and make all the excuses you want, Mr. Jeffro, but we know what happened. It's pretty obvious.
The cover-up is always worse than the initial issue.
And this is what I was telling Price. Is like, well, now we just sit and wait for the cover-up, and this is it. They're admitting it basically, but through his there's some idiots who are buying this fucking story. That's my problem.
I mean, I'd have more respect for them if they just said, yes, hell, yes, we did do this. And
that's where I said the other backlash is coming from, Brian, is that there are people in our tweets now in the threads that are saying, damn you for not going through with this if this is true.
Yeah.
If you initially had planned to make him gay because they want him to be gay coded or whatever. Yeah.
Have the guts to go through with it. Yeah.
You know, it's also fair to point out in the original adaptations, there was never an issue with, you never really cared if he had a love life. This is Splinter. He's this kind of like, it's not necessary. It's like something that we don't need to learn about his character. I feel like it doesn't add to it in any way. And the fact that they even started with this bug, whether it's male or female, whatever they wanted, after cheapening his character for a whole movie, this is just like, whether the bug is a female or a male, it doesn't even really matter, even though I couldn't tell because the bug doesn't talk.
Yeah,
and the poster said it was a male.
I don't get why this even became a conversation when this is clearly, once again, a movie that's supposed to be made for kids. The fact that there was even any form of discussion is just like, we should have never even got to this point. We should have, if anything, just maybe at best, talking about how bad this movie was on its merits or lack thereof. But no, we had this whole other conversation because they did this dumb shit.
Yeah.
So by saying so strenuously that the character is not gay, well, what's the problem with that if it is? I mean, I'm just looking at it.
Oh, I know.
What's the problem with that?
Why do you have to include that?
Well,
that's where they're stuck.
Yeah,
and that's where they're stuck in this vicious cycle now. They should have never even acknowledged it. This is what I was saying about this earlier when I was talking to Price behind the scenes. Had they had just not even acknowledged it and scrubbed the internet and put out new posters, they would have more grounds to stand on of this conspiracy theory thing. Because now that he's come out and said this, anybody with a brain can see how stupid it sounds.
Yeah. One of the mistakes that he made, that he said the second they released it, I immediately told them it was bad. But the thing is, if that's the case, then why was it still up there for a month, and why wasn't there a new poster? Wouldn't they just scrub that one then and then put the real one that says herself?
Exactly.
If a month ago. Yeah.
Especially when these people are so hung up on fucking pronouns.
Yeah, that's another thing. Once again,
right,
I don't buy this garbage of them like acting like they're not aware, because once again, we're in this day and age where you have all these websites, the Colliders, the CBRs of the world, where they thrive on posting articles about this type of stuff. You let this stuff on so they can catch on and post their little articles and be like, oh, look, this character was gay all along. So they can do a lot
Well,
of
let
that,
me
make
give
up
you all
their
a
own
scenario here.
revisionist history trash.
I'll actually put my Andre hat on for a minute, and here's a scenario I think Andre would come up with. Here is what I believe happened. This movie would have been in production at the same time Lightyear come out. And in Lightyear, they had a same-sex couple. And they saw that had stirred a lot of talk in the media. Between then and now, though, they realized that did not help Lightyear's box office. So they decided to change it, but somebody missed these posters. And thanks to Price of Reason, we now know what really went down.
Hey, I'll take it. That sounds good.
Nice.
It's usually the way Andre thinks.
It was a really good impression.
Because you got to think, they like to stir up controversy. That's part of the reason they do this shit. Because remember, case in point, the Blue Beetle director, his whole response to people freaking out about the Batman as a fascist thing was, my job is done, right? He kept posting that meme.
Yep, he
And
was.
then what did he have to do a month ago?
He was having a hard on about, oh, look, I pissed the
He had to
white people
apologize,
off.
right?
And
He
then
did
just about a
directly
month ago, what
apologize.
happened?
Oopsies.
He had to come out and apologize. Exactly, Clobby.
He downplayed it. He downplayed it.
apology?
That wasn't an apology. That's a fake
No.
apology.
Apologies.
Well, it was a fakeology or whatever it was. But point being,
Non-apology
somebody at the studio said, you need to get out there and make up for this mess because we can't be having this shit. I think they're starting to get a little bit more. They may not have figured out all the problems, but one thing I have noticed in the last few months is they have really kind of figured out, or especially the last half year or so, that they can't be having people come out and attack the audience anymore.
Yeah.
The only ones who haven't quite figured that out is Lucasfilm.
I mean, all of Disney.
Clobby, it sounded like you agreed. I don't know if you had something to add.
I know, absolutely. That's they're some of them are coming to having a basically come to Jesus meeting about it, but the others are going to be kind of dragged kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're seeing that though. Yeah, they know it.
Lucasfilm are kind of like the Titanic, but at the end, instead of the people with the violin, you have these activists telling the customers that they're crappy. Like until the very last moment, they're still at it.
Yeah.
They were one of the first to do it, and they will for sure be one of the last to do this.
Absolutely. When it comes to Disney, absolutely.
Yes. They and that's the thing, that because they got so early on in the game, they're committed. They're probably the most committed because they got in so early. So that's why a lot of these people, once again, they would rather burn it all down than to change around. So the only way it's gonna change is if you absolutely remove all the personnel involved who would rather burn it down, because they are never going to change their ways. You got to remove them completely, wipe the slate clean.
That's one way of putting it. Let's go into these super chats here. I don't know how much longer you want to stick around, Price or Reason, or you can stick around, but if you would, just for at least some of these super chats, I'm sure there's some of them you may be able to help us with here. And then we'll get into our next story.
I totally want. Let's do it. To tell me what the super chats are.
All right, we'll stick around then. We got a pooper sticker from Six. Thank you so much, Six. She's one of the few people who can get away with sending me a pooper sticker. Mr. Tickletrunk says Shadversity proved a stick is the best weapon. Well, if you're somebody like Donatello, you can come up with a lot of uses for just a stick, especially a long one. It could be used in a lot of different ways. Many Dragon says, are we really surprised that they tried this? Wait until they do Thundercats again and make Panthro gay and make Chitara a man-hating girl boss. Yeah, I would be surprised. Any Thundercat fans here?
I just know at the very basic casual level. I'm not well educated on them, but I'm sure that they're gonna fuck it up, and hopefully when they do, I hope their fans respond in strength.
I probably saw all the episodes when I was young, but I can't say I remember Lion-O, and I remember he has this sword, and it's like Thundercats, 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 ho, or whatever it is. And then I remember generally what happens, but I feel like this is something that I may need to revisit.
It's very much in the vein of like a Masters of the Universe kind of show.
But I used to like Masters of the Universe more as a kid than that.
Yeah, that was more my jam too. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk here who says kids shows should have romance, not sexuality. Well, it doesn't even really in Ninja Turtles, unless it's between Casey and April, there doesn't need to be no goddamn romance in them. The romance is a kind of a lost romance between Hamato Yoshi and depending on which version of the name you want to use, because it changes. It's like Tang Shin, I think, in the movie, but it's something different in the original comic. But because even in the original comic, it's the brother of, and then it's a big convoluted long story. They just kind of simplified it for the movie. And in some ways, I think it's even more. I'm not against the fact that they took it the direction they did in the original TV series, because it almost kind of cleans it up even more by just making Splinter Hamato Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more believable that he could teach the Ninja Turtles how to be ninjas than him just, oh yeah, I remember watching him from my cage.
Like,
yeah, that was always a bit of a stretch.
Right. If there's one thing about the 1990 movie, which I love, the part that he's like in the cage learning the moves from his master is a bit of a stretch, really. Like
it is.
Just said here.
And you could have got around that. He could have just simply said, after the mutagen took effect, I began to remember things I did not remember before. Like, then it makes sense. Like, okay, so he automatically just kind of soaked all this shit up. I could buy that a little bit more than watching this little like fucking rat going in the cage. That was a little too much for me. I remember giggling then as a kid going, yeah, sure. But it works well enough anyway at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. Kareen says, marketing ploy to get us to talk about trash. I think so initially, Kareen, and then they backed off because, again, I think they're kind of seeing how, especially up until Barbie, the controversy wasn't selling movies anymore, right? The controversy was becoming more of a problem. You know, it used to be the old saying is no such thing as bad press. Well, not so much anymore. What were you going to say, Claudia?
No, disagree with you. Absolutely. They can't count on this controversy to sell tickets anymore.
Yep. And we got another new member here, Nicholas Horton. Let me see if I can see which level you became a member at still. Scrolling. Oh, here it is right here. Maximum effort puppy. So we got another maximum effort puppy. Let's see here. We'll do this one this time. There you go. That's Journey driving the boat. That's one maximum effort puppy there, folks.
Oh.
And then we've got a super sticker from Kitty Bear. It's probably a pooper sticker. How much you want to bet? Knowing him. I gotta scroll, sorry.
It's a thought that counts.
Oh, I see he's been a member now. Yeah, it's a pooper sticker. I should have known.
All right.
Then Nicholas Horton, who's been a member for 22 months and is now at the maximum effort puppy level, says, TMNT 2003 will always be my era of the franchise. So good. So much good backstory for the characters. You know, that was the best as far as like being able to take the serious tone of the movie and a lot of the same kind of material, make it still a little bit more kid friendly-ish, but not exactly, but also make it in the vein of like Batman the Animated Series to where adults could enjoy it too. See, because I remember watching that one specifically with my kid. My kid was never a huge Ninja Turtle fan, but he knew I was, and he liked the opening thing, and he didn't mind it because it was a cartoon.
Tom, that's why that would be competing with you.
No shit, no, right? But no, it just wasn't his bag. He was more into cars and stuff like that. But he loved the 1, 2, 3, 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He loved that whole bit, and he would sit there. And
I love that intro.
It wasn't as good as the original, in my opinion, but it worked.
No, it wasn't. But it's a nice, quick like thing that gets straight to the show. So, and the
1987. 1987 animated is the best one.
Yeah, that's as far as the intro,
Intro, 1987 is my favorite intro. I would say, that would be the one. Yeah, 87. I mean, it's so memorable. It's so memorable. Though I do got my
Oh.
kids, but I do got my kids singing the 2012 one, which is cool to see. So I will take that. There's a full song with that one too. No, no one knows it. I know it.
No.
I've watched.
Oh,
it
we got
so
a pro
many
raid.
times.
Welcome
Oh,
to the
Pro.
pro show.
pro
Hey.
fans. Hello.
Hey, Pro Raid.
Awesome. Thank you so much to the guys over at WDW Pro for sending you guys over here. We got Accident Seller who says romances for chicks. Give me Babs and Vagina. That's right. It's Bob's. Show me Bob's.
Bob's.
Kareen
Bob's
says
Rumpus.
they better not F up Thundercats. I'm ready to petition. I didn't wait 30 freaking years for no messes. Now they're working on it. I'm trying to remember who's the director that's working on that. Shit.
Kevin Smith.
No.
Oh no.
Kevin Spacey.
Could be bad either way. Sorry, I mean, I could be a downer there, Kareen, but get ready. Keep those deflectors up, double front.
It's in the works at Warner Brothers. That I remember. Yep. This is a while back, but trying to remember who was the director behind it, who was working on it. Not finding it here. This is not what I was looking for.
Patton Oswald. I would be surprised.
Adam Wingard. That's who's doing it.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so he's done like VHS, You're Next, King Kong versus Godzilla. That was what he got that right after that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The remake of Blair Witch, Death Note, he's worked on. So that's the guy who's doing it. And the new Godzilla film. So there you go. Not the Japanese one, obviously, the King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kitty Bear has also been a member for 17 months. And that brings us up to speed with that. Well, let's see here. What did you guys want to talk about otherwise? Because there was the Warner meeting today, but I think we're going to talk about that on the morning show. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the chat or these guys on the panel here, what you guys want to talk about right now, because I'm out of topic. Aside from the strike crap, Meg 2 is getting a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes right now from the critics. There's the Lizzo lawsuit that we've been talking about everywhere else, so I don't really
The
feel like
zero
getting
score
here.
means the only way is up.
That's
Think
true.
that's a
That's very
positive.
true. Olaf has been a member for 23 months. Thank you so much, Olaf. We appreciate that. Wait a minute. What about Mallrats 3? What? There wasn't a Mallrats 2 yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say there wasn't even a
They were
2,
supposed to be. Stars
Sometimes
was going to
it's-
go do a sequel series. It never happened.
Sometimes it's best to skip
Wow.
the second movie.
Skip the second movie. Well, that was the
Scottish themed ones, for instance.
Do you guys remember when that guy caused a stir because he posted a poster or a couple posters around like subways and shit that said Spaceballs 3, the search for Spaceballs 2, the search for more money?
that would actually be fucking funny.
And people thought it was real. I was like, motherfucker, if that ain't real, I'm gonna be pissed. And it wasn't. It was a fake. Sorry, Price.
It's probably better though. He did like History of the World, and like I haven't watched it, but I just saw the people involved in that, and I'm like, I don't even want to go there. You know, I know
probably
that's a
not
rude
wrong.
thing.
Have you seen the anime? Has anybody here seen the animated series besides me?
Of which one again?
Which one?
Spaceballs.
No.
There was an
good?
animated series, and it had at least 80% of the voice cast back that wasn't dead.
Wow.
And it was horrid. The only one that was semi-decent, Rick Moranis didn't come back and do voice, and that was pretty much it, besides John Candy, obviously, and whoever else was dead. But all the other cast members came back and did their original voices. Mel Brooks was one of the writers and producers on it, and it's like this horrible Flash animation. The only good semi-decent episode, I hate even using the word good, is the first episode, because it's literally a parody of episode 1 with Dark Helmet. So that's the only semi-funny-ish one. After that, it's really just horrible.
Who does the
Horrible.
voice for Dark Helmet though? I mean, Rick Moranis.
I don't
that's
know.
like
Somebody else. I don't. Yeah, it's not a very good voice, but yeah.
Rick Moranis. That's like the performance of his career, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's somebody basically doing an impression of Louis Tully when he has the mask off, and then like just trying to talk like Dark
I
Helmet when he's
disagree.
got
I
it on,
think
yeah.
Doug McKenzie was pretty good.
Doug McKenzie would do a great job.
Oh, Doug McKenzie. I would say that would be, take the McKenzie brothers and put them in something like Spaceballs. That would be brilliant.
Hey, get off me, you hoser. We're in
Hoser.
space.
Hey,
How do
Darth
we get to
Hoser.
space?
Darth Hoser. Darth Hoser would be good.
But just in case some
Hey.
people don't think I'm crazy and I make this shit up.
Take off, eh?
It's actually available on DVD too.
Wow. When was this, dude?
You said it's bad because I mean
It's
all right from
bad.
here.
It is not as good as it kind of looks.
It looks better than Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, but yeah, true. But
I mean, actually, I haven't seen it in like 10 years or whatever or more, so it might not be as bad as I remember now. But like, yeah, it's. Oh yeah, I don't think Joan Rivers is in it either. I think she was still alive when they did it, but yeah, or maybe she is. I can't remember now. I don't think she is. I can't remember. But like most of the cast is back. Yeah. See, it was an actual show.
It's cool. For Winnebago.
Yeah, I'm digging the rig.
Fat chance. Here, take this. It's Yente's yogurt. Your wife makes yogurt?
Oh, he's not the same voice either. That's right.
It tastes like curdled swamp. One spoonful and you never want to eat anything again. So only use it in case of emergency. Come on, Lone Star. Good luck. Thanks, yogurt. So long.
Yeah, anyway. We'll get a copy.
Whether you need talented voice actors. I don't mind if they're not the same, but they got to be talented, and it's hard to match up to the likes of John Candy, one way or the other. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
John Candy passed away like too young, I think. I feel like he had more good
yes.
movies in him.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, God,
yes.
yeah. Brilliant. Well, I'm just prepping for an SCTV show, and it's just incredible how many great performances and characters he did in that. Never mind the movies.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Man.
He just
we
blowed it up
lost
real
a lot
good.
of,
Blowed it real good.
especially in the mid '90s. There's just a lot of amazing talent dropped off.
Yeah,
I remember that I read
Like coming down
that
from the
John
high.
Candy lost a ton of money on Home Alone. I think that they offered him like a percentage to be a part of the movie.
Oh, and he turned it
waived
down?
Yeah, he waived it, and then like he made like $1.
I can't believe John wouldn't work something out with him, John Hughes. But yeah, I can see that because it's just a cameo or whatever.
Apparently, like he promised him another role somewhere else, and maybe he gave him. It wasn't Uncle Buck. Maybe I think Uncle Buck was before. I don't know.
I think it was
He gave
only
him some-
you. Was it only you?
Right? Maybe there was something else that he gave him afterwards, and that was like taking care of the favor that he did for him. But considering that he didn't take a percentage of the movie, the favor wasn't as big as the money that he lost, from what I remember reading.
Well, sometimes you just gotta admit you made a mistake. I mean, it's nobody else's fault. Just yeah.
What do you think of this hat?
Yeah.
People say this hat makes people angry.
And the Schmengi brothers, come on, hilarious.
Schmengi brothers.
Schmengi. I've got that album. I have the vinyl album of the Schmengi brothers.
I think we got this one already, but thank you, Olaf, for being a member. And then he has a Sander has a member chat here who says, "You think Kevin Spacey will get new film roles after his latest win in the UK?" I think he'll have some smaller indie roles for a while. He may be able to work his way back into mainstream, but I think it'll be a tick. It's going to take some time.
Maybe foreign movies, maybe like countries that aren't the US. Maybe it's something that like there's an American in a movie with like, Spanish people. So, other countries, I think, will like some small production will say, okay, let's pay him money and bring somebody like Kevin Spacey here. And they're less involved with all of the political correct and politically correct. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, ego plays a role. If he wants to do smaller films, somebody will hire him if he's willing to do it. And it goes for anybody in that sort of situation. Once you build up that kind of career, you can get something somewhere. It might be overseas, it may not be Hollywood. It's just whether you're willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big enough. Oh, go ahead, Price.
Oh no, I'm just saying they never convicted him on anything. But go on.
Yeah, besides that, he's a big enough name that, yeah, I mean, eventually he'll find his way back to Hollywood. It's just going to be a matter of time, and we'll see how it rolls for him. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to end up dead. Camelbot Killer says, panel, what movie did you like that Hollywood remade and turned into shit? Or a
Ooh,
TV
that's an
show?
extensive list.
Oh Lord, yes.
Yeah, dude.
Pick one or two though of your worst picks. Does anybody have any in mind right away?
So many.
There's so many, so it's hard to think of one.
Yeah, pick one. A movie they didn't is the easier question for them.
And a lot of times TV shows never work out from movies, yeah.
Well, and if you look for glaring ones, just stick it with movies. Oh no. I can't do it. There are too many.
I know. I'm trying. I have never blanked out so bad in my lifetime.
Wait, I have one from recently for a TV show. It's random, but Perry Mason. I used to always watch as a kid. I watched reruns, and like Raymond Burr was like Perry Mason, whether it's like the black and white show or the movies that he did. He was really that character. I kind of liked that kind of lawyer, whatever he was. And then recently they did one for like HBO Max, whatever it is, and it was like, it really wasn't. It was like a very high-end production, but like they do with all the deconstruction, in this one they start off that he's literally an alcoholic, like loser, deadbeat father. And then, like, you know, Della, his secretary, she's like smarter than him, and she's like telling him what to do. And of course, like, she has a girlfriend, which again, I don't care. It just seems kind of weird in 1930 or whatever. It's supposed to be taking like in 1930. And then, like,
I watched,
you know, Paul Drake is now also like more diverse, which again in 1930. The thing is, if you wanted to make a modern day version and you're saying it's 2023, maybe some of this would make sense. But if they're trying to say that it's happening in like the 30s in the US, this does not make any sense. And like, you know, by the time, because he couldn't be like this kind of star lawyer and everybody kept on like, you know, telling him what a loser he is, you know, I watched one season thinking that by the end of it, he'll be the man. But then I started watching the second season, and they made him a loser again. And I'm
his
like,
girlfriend is the real, this pilot is the real hero. Yeah.
I just said, you know what? I've had enough of this. And I stopped watching. And then like a few months later, it's like, what happened? I see articles. What happened to Perry Mason? Like, what did they get wrong? And like, nobody is saying what they really got wrong, you know?
Yeah. Does anybody else have one? Because I got a good one.
I can think of a few pointless. I can think of a few pointless remakes.
Well,
Total Recall.
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to mention that.
Dude, you stole mine.
Rollerball. They remade Rollerball.
Oh, that's right. They did remake Rollerball.
RoboCop.
You know,
the Fright Night.
Look, Fright Night sucked. That was stupid. But the RoboCop is the only one I will sometimes stick up for because it had potential. And RoboCop is one of those comic book. I did too, and the first time I hated it, but then I rewatched it here. I was like a year ago.
Why watch that though? When you got such a great, I mean, it's so.
I watched all of them because the first one came out in 4K, and I just went down to RoboCop. Like
the Wicker Man is a crime against humanity.
And I found myself going, you know what? The RoboCop remake wasn't as bad as I thought, or as I remember it being. It had potential, and it's like because RoboCop is a comic booky character. And on top of that, Peter Weller's only played the character twice. He's been played more by other actors now than he ever was, you know, in the beginning. So
he's the only
kind of got past it. I get it. I agree with you, Clobby, but I think that RoboCop is a character that is underutilized. And
there's some movies that I love so much that I won't even bother with the remake. When people say they remade it, and that's nice. You guys go enjoy that. I'll stick with this one. I don't need it remade. So I did get to a point where I stopped even watching any remake.
I don't blame you.
I mean,
but with RoboCop, I gave it credit because it's not trying to be the original. It's trying to do its own thing.
It wasn't
And it
bad.
really does have it asks some really interesting questions. It actually flips some things from the original movie around a bit, to kind of, the fact that they kind of ignore his family in the original films after,
Right.
the whole thing.
Mhm.
Like, they really address that fact. Like, his wife is constantly fighting, like, where's my fucking husband? Like, that kind of shit makes it feel more grounded and real. Like, it has that kind of a thing to it, and I like certain aspects of it, and I didn't hate it. But that being said, that's an exception to the rules. What I was going to think of is one that has had potential to be one of the greatest remakes of all time. And I know you guys are going to be, what? Maybe Clobby's the only one who even knows this movie. But when they remade Willard with Crispin Glover.
Oh, I saw that. That was Morgan and Wong did that.
That existed.
The original version
Crispin
that leaked out, because it's leaked out online a while before it came out.
Yes.
The original R-rated cut was one of the greatest fucking remakes I'd ever seen in my life.
Saw that.
It got every single story beat right. It got the tone right. It got everything there. It was like, oh my God, you took a movie that had, that's the one problem with Willard. If you've seen it, the first original one, it has a weird fucking tone. It doesn't quite know what it's trying to be. But in this version, they actually nail the tone. But what happened was, between the time it leaked out and got to theaters, they reshot the last third of the film and cut out all the swear words to cut it down to PG-13. And
That's
added
what I
a bunch
thought.
of rock music and shit to it.
That's what I saw at the theater, and so I've never seen the version you're talking about.
And you gotta, oh my God, Clobby, you should have seen me in the theater. I was freaking the fuck out. I'm like, what movie is this? What the hell happened? What did you guys do to this movie? Because it was like, oh my God, they had nailed it. They had nailed it. Everything from the original film was in this version. The tone was perfect. Crispin Glover was spot the fuck on. Arlie Emery was spot the fuck on.
Yep, the Sarge.
Oh my God. It's like, how did you fuck this up? They totally changed the ending of the movie. They cut out all the swear words, because you had some of the best scenes between Arlie Emery going after, like, you really want him to die by that. Like, you're like, and just how they had Ben set up and everything in the original version. That little vicious bastard, you wanted him to die too by the end, but not for real. The whole point is Willard's not supposed to live. And when he lives and kills Ben, I'm like, what the fuck did you do?
That was so weird.
Like, that is not how this movie ends. And now you just destroyed the possibility of a sequel. What the hell?
Well, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. Destroying the sequel.
It probably was, but I was so devastated, Brian. I was like vocally upset in the theater. I'm like, they changed the fucking movie. And people are like, yeah, we know it's not like, no, they literally changed this one, because this is not the cut I saw. I was pissed.
Tom, you know there's a movie that one of the most famous movies of all time has been remade that maybe very few people know was remade? I bet you might know, though.
You're not going to say Psycho, are you?
No, I'm serious.
That's a travesty against.
But everyone knows that's been remade.
Well, it was a copy, frame for frame copy.
I heard stories about that, Brian. I'll tell you about that afterwards. But go ahead, Clobby.
Yeah, but anyway, Clobby, sorry.
No, I'm just seeing if anyone realizes that It's a Wonderful Life had a remake.
It did, and what was it?
It was a TV movie.
Yeah,
it was a gender swipe. It was the 70s.
Yep,
it was
70s.
With what's her face? That girl was it? Phil Donahue's. What was her name again? Oh man.
I know the movie too. Damn it.
It was a TV movie remake.
Yeah, no,
No, I'm just kidding.
What was that lady? That woman's name? Oh man, why am I? Marlo Thomas.
Marlo Thomas. Yes.
And Wayne Rogers was in it. Like, why in the holy hell do you remake that? I mean, are you not putting a little pressure on yourself remaking that? I mean,
that was dumb.
And this was the early 70s. Movie's been around like about 30 years, maybe.
And that's when it actually kind of gained its popularity, because for those who don't know, the only reason the movie is still around is when it first came out, it didn't do all that well.
No, but
it didn't do so well that Republic didn't even see the point in trying to renew the copyright.
Right.
So they had overlooked renewing the copyright, and meant it was able to be shown on television for nothing. So every year,
a classic.
It became a classic because all these smaller television stations all throughout the country would show it every Christmas. In some cases, they'd show it over and over again.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it got known as a staple. Well, then NBC bought the rights to it in, what was it, the late 70s, early 80s, something like that? Cloudy?
Yeah,
I can't remember which.
It was somewhere in the 80s.
So it's because they had noticed at this time that the movie had kind of become this perennial Christmas classic now, even though it had kind of originally
showing
been
it over and over again throughout
Yeah.
the Christmas holiday, and now you only get it it airs once.
Well, that's where NBC bought the rights to it, and that's where you had one night to see it, and they actually been showing it twice. Sometimes they'll show it on Christmas Eve, and then I think sometimes they'll show it like the Sunday before Christmas, so you can see it twice. But yeah,
Manos, the Hands of Fate. Yes, there you go, Batman.
I remember
Dude,
our
different
local
world.
broadcasting station PBS would always play that movie and Lost Horizon, which I loved that movie. 1937, some lost footage.
Was that another one that the copyright probably lapsed on?
It might have, because obviously they were able to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Godzilla, 1998 Godzilla?
Oh, you just took two from me now.
Sorry,
Okay,
Nick.
Yellow
I'm
Flash.
Sorry, Nick. I'm sorry.
Fucking poor Nick. Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Dude, so
tell us why
mine's
it's
the
so bad.
two. Oh, dude, when they made Godzilla an actual reptile, like an actual one that it's not like walk around standing, parading over the city.
Lizard.
That was the stupidest trash I had ever
Movie
seen. I remember seeing that at a theater, and I was a kid. I was so mad. I'm like, "Who's this?"
I walked out on that one.
Godzilla's
It was the
not
original
a-
Barbie because they hid him from us, right? Like they didn't let us see
Yeah.
him.
Which
And I
I'm
remember when
fine.
it leaked out, I couldn't believe it was true.
I'm
'cause-
okay with the less is more angle, except the problem is they made it look like a freaking lizard and not Godzilla. Because you can do a thing where you show less and make it feel that much more impactful. I mean, that we've had a lot of great. I mean, that's why the first Halloween works so well as it does, because it builds up Michael Myers very well. And when you actually see him, you're like, oh crap. They could have done that, but they gave us this reptile Godzilla. It's like, oh, this is stupid. So stupid. Oh, Tom Cruise, the Mummy. Sorry, Tom. I
bad.
like you, but that was an atrocity, dude.
What a mess
You
that
should
movie
have
was.
you should have never got near that at all. I'm sorry, man, but no. Just that should have never been a thing. We had it really good with the two Brendan Fraser movies. No, the third one doesn't exist. And we were perfectly fine right where we were with those two, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. That's it. End of story. And even though the franchise was never good to begin with, I have to mention this one, Klobby. Fantastic Four 2015, aka Fan Four
Fed
Stick.
4-stick.
Do we consider those actual
that's
remakes?
not a remake.
Or are they? See, that
That's
was the
not a
funny.
remake.
That's the thing. I have this, and this is something I've debated with a lot of people.
Remake
What
or
defines
reboot?
a remake, a readaptation,
And a reboot?
or a reboot? Right? Like
Well,
to
reboot's
me,
easy.
yeah, reboot's easy. We all know what a reboot is, and a readaptation and a remake, I think, are the fuzzy ground because you can still do something that's readapting something else. But my primary one I normally go to, and this is how I understand it, is if you're remaking something that's from a book and you go back and you pick shit that's out of the movie that's only in the movie and you put that in your movie, then it's now automatically a remake. Carrie is a prime example of that because the original version of that remake, they didn't have all the stuff at the end that was just like the De Palma version. But after a test screening, the studio made them go back and put all that shit in like the De Palma version.
Mm-hmm.
So that retroactively ended up making that a remake instead of a readaptation. See, to me, like True Grit is a readaptation, not a remake.
That's true.
See, that's where I
agree with
kind of
that.
come in with
So
that.
is John Carpenter's The Thing.
And yes, that's another great example, Klobby. Even though people
That's the
consider
greatest. I love that
remake,
movie.
but is that the question? Is there anything in that movie that's only in the Hawks movie and not in the book or the short story? That's the
short
big
story.
question.
This is more of an adaptation of the short story.
I was gonna say,
I'd
as
say
far
that.
as my memory goes, it's more,
It's a
but
short
I've never
story.
read it, so I don't know.
It really is the short story.
Plus, if there's not an original book that the property is from, then it's obviously a remake. So
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
King Kong is the prime example of a movie that just keeps getting
yeah,
remade and remade and remade and
I
remade.
think possibly the day the Earth stood still, like Keanu. I don't think there was that. That's not a good film, and that's a remake. I think. Yeah, that's not a good.
That's
film.
a remake.
Yeah.
Is Scarface a remake or a readaptation?
See, that's an oddball
point.
because
Yes.
that's really barely a remake, only in like name and concept.
Yeah,
only.
I call that
Very
yes. I call that
complete
yes.
reimagining. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be more fall in the line of like a reimagining, almost to where like The Fly is borderline that too, because it's really close to the original concept, but it has very little to do with the original concept. When you watch the Vincent Price one, it's like, these aren't even the same fucking movie. Like, what the hell? The only thing that's the same is a guy's turning himself into a fly. The machines are kind of similar, and there's a love story. That's about it. Otherwise, it's completely different.
Well, it's something.
Yeah. So I mean, you have that, but see, that was a golden age for us, though. That 70s and 80s remake era. That was, I think, where I was kind of raised on the idea that you can remake anything as long as you do it right or do a good job. Because even to me,
prefer the
I
prefer the second take on Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, there's another one that's got some popular. I mean, that movie's been remade how many different times in different ways?
Not all of them great, but that remake in the 70s, I loved it. I thought it was better than
the Philip Kaufman, right? The Philip Kaufman one is the best one.
It was actually pretty good, yeah.
With Leonard Nimoy and Donald Sutherland.
Karen Allen.
Yeah.
Karen Allen, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
It was a haunting ending, man.
Yeah, see, and we agree. De Palma completely reimagined what Scarface was. I mean, I've seen the original. It has very, very, very. The only thing I think in the original, otherwise, that's kind of remotely close, other than just being like a gangster on the rise up and how he destroyed himself, is there's a sister character, if I remember right, and I think that's it. But it's like none of it is really even remotely the same. So, like, yeah. But anyway, speaking of remakes and reboots, it's kind of funny because it's a good segue before we get back into super chats here. Six reminded me of this because this was burning up the internet today. But my source, I reached out to him and asked him about this, and they said, no, it's bullshit. So we'll see here what this has to say about it. But this is a great breakdown of what has been going on with Nightmare on Elm Street. Breaking down the rights, rumors of a requel, and more. So thank you, Six, for sending this in to us. I totally forgot about this today. This is up my alley. Recent reports from a certain anon account on Twitter have spread like wildfire. Who's going to say something? I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate. I'm just before you get stuck in.
You got to check out.
I got to check out. But thanks for
go eat your dinner.
I'm starving. Thanks for old people have to eat regularly at set times.
Yeah, early bird special. Yeah,
blue plate special. So thanks for having me. Thanks everyone in the
Brian.
panel for a great show, and thanks everyone in the chat.
Check out 70s Rock
everybody.
Band.
Cheers, everyone.
Buy that 70s Rock Band.
Yeah, I just saw his message here. All right, so anyway, get back into this here. A certain anonymous account on Twitter has spread like wildfire across the community, saying that Blumhouse is bringing back Freddy Krueger in the Elm Street franchise. We decided that it might be a good idea to break down the facts and tell you what we know, as with all Tales from the Drafts articles, take everything with a grain of salt. But I do say that they did a good job on this. As far as I know, this is the best breakdown I've seen here. First and foremost, we have been told that Wes Craven's estate has the rights locked in, which Bloody Disgusting first reported. Up until last year, New Line Cinema was the only studio who would have had any form of access to said rights. OTN has heard from multiple sources that Jason Blum has been advocating to get the rights and has been trying to convince the Craven estate for quite a while now. Last year, per report from Puck, it was revealed that New Line Cinema, who released every film in the franchise, was negotiating to maintain the domestic rights to the franchise as well as develop future films. As of now, it is unknown what came of that. And last I had heard, there was rumblings of something in development, but nothing really solid. Now here's where things get complicated, and this is true. And I remember talking about this like 2 years ago. There's been rumors that the Craven estate finally giving in, and that a secret bidding war had taken place amongst the studios for the rights to the Elm Street in the last month or two. We at OTN have only heard of these rumors and have been able to corroborate at the time of this writing. And haven't been able to corroborate, sorry. The rumor states Blumhouse won the rights to Elm Street and that they'd be developing a new film. So what does this all mean? We hate to be the bearer of bad news, but one take has heard at the time of this article, Blumhouse is not developing a new Elm Street project. And that's the same thing I have heard myself. I can corroborate with OTN on this. So don't get your hopes up for thank God Blumhouse isn't going to fuck this one up too. Because I don't know. I mean, some people like them, but lately with their Halloween, and and I've heard some nasty shit about The Exorcist. So yeah, I do not want them getting their hands on Freddy. Anyway, so it doesn't appear that Blumhouse at this time is developing the new Elm Street film. And the rights do not belong to them. However, we have heard whispers of New Line regaining the rights, but we have not confirmed this. We reached out to New Line for comment on the matter and will update this article if they respond. I could not get an answer on this. All I knew was that I was told kind of the same thing, is that yes, they had been working on developing something quietly in the background, but nothing major has come to fruition yet. And since no new Elm Street films have technically been in development since 2010 and Robert Englund has retired from playing his signature character, as to what the future of the franchise is currently unknown. But if time has told us anything, Freddy will be back soon enough. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt, but it's pretty unlikely that Blumhouse bought the rights. Does anybody have any comments or opinions on this matter?
I think they should leave it alone. Without like Robert Englund, they don't have a franchise.
Maybe that's one way of looking at it.
I mean, I don't. My take is mostly similar to Price's. I'm just like, once again, if you really want to do a franchise, yeah, at the very minimum, they couldn't do something. Maybe you could even say that was influence or like an imitation, of something that was from like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, why do they keep beating the dead horse with these things? Like, especially like it's like the Friday the 13th. I remember when they rebooted it, it bombed. Then they rebooted the reboot, and it bombed even harder. And obviously, Nightmare has not been much better. Why is it so hard for them to just accept that people are not going to keep accepting these movies of these things? Even the Halloween movies, that was an indicator. Those sequels, that should have been like what, shot the slasher killer up, and people decide. But people don't want these characters. Give them new characters. It seems like the only one that has resonated with some people, at least divisively, is Scream. Like I said, not positive reaction, but at least it's gotten people talking. It just seems everything else is very apathetic.
Anybody else got anything on
Yeah.
this?
Oh, not really, but other than Nick, you're absolutely right. They never really, they never learned this lessons. And, there you go. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll throw in a video game reference. One of my favorite games from back in the 90s on the PlayStation 1 called Alundra. And it was made in the vein of Zelda. It's like a Zelda type game, but its storyline was very Nightmare on Elm Street. It's about like a demon that would get into the dreams of the people in a town, and it would kill them off one at a time. The nightmares would overwhelm them till they would just like die from fright, and that was powerful. Whatever they're trying to do here, it's not gonna make that level. But they could. It's a great concept, and I would love to see a great Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But I mean, I want to see it done that well.
Yeah.
Not just some.
Wasn't there somebody that made one in like 2011 or something? Wasn't there like a Nightmare on Elm Street, 12 years ago or something? That
We don't
tried
talk
to
about
remake
that.
It? That one was bad. I saw it, and I'm
yeah,
like,
the 2010 one. Yeah.
What a
That
waste
was
of Jackie
awful.
Earl Haley, because he's a great
It
actor.
was. Because like when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh man, that's gonna suck. They can't find anybody who's gonna play Freddy. I can't know.
Nope.
I wasn't even worried about the story so much. And then they said Jackie Earl Haley is cast as Freddy Krueger. And I'm like,
Great actor, but
maybe he could pull it off. Especially right after seeing Watchmen, I'm like, I was like, this dude needs to get an Oscar nom for this. And I'm like, maybe he could pull it off, and he could have. Problem was the shit script, right?
Yes, it was bad.
It is one of the most. Well, not only that, it ended up getting reshoots and everything too in the process of it all. It is a horrible fucking movie. That actually, speaking of remakes that could have been good, here's where I was upset me most. It wasn't so much that they remade Nightmare on Elm Street. It was the fact that they wasted half of the movie on this interesting idea that maybe this version of Freddy is innocent. All for nothing. That's actually an interesting kind of concept that like, oh, well, maybe he was set up and these kids were lying. And that kind of twists things around a little bit, because it's kind of hard, because Nightmare on Elm Street franchise always had one thing going for it, is even though Freddy was kind of the hero, not a hero, anti-hero, whatever you want to call it, the face of the franchise, he is one of the worst vile fucking killers out there. Even Jason you have a little bit of sympathy for, right? Not Freddy. Freddy you have zero sympathy for whatsoever. He is one of the worst creatures ever to have walked the face of the earth.
I like Freddy that way.
I do to a point.
Keep him that way.
But my point is if you're going to twist it and change it a little bit, I like the idea that these kids brought this shit upon themselves. That kind of is an interesting kind of concept here.
So much potential in the psychological with this franchise, with this concept. I mean, yes, he's an awful character. He is actually a villain, but it's also about feeding upon the demons of the people that he's attacking, right?
Yeah.
It's like you get into the stories of the characters and what they've done in their past and what haunts them. And that's what really drives, at least for me anyways.
I just think it could have added an interesting twist, It's almost kind of like, Dracula's great, but once you see Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula and you see how he melded, the real life tale of Vlad the Impaler with Dracula, like, oh, that fucking works. Like, I could see that working. And I was actually with the remake up until they kind of said, oh no, he's just that, he's bad, he's guilty. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, wait a minute here. You can't introduce this concept and then be like, no, because that's like that's horrible. Why even explore that? Like, that's dumb.
Sounds like he got teased.
Well, it's just because what it does then in the process of is initially it took the parents out of the equation. Because the original point of the story was the children paying for the sins of the parents, which really, that was my whole problem with the original. And it kind of clears up a problem I had with the original film, is like, why is Freddy getting these powers to get revenge on the people that he molested and killed their children? Like, I mean, honestly, justice was served. Like, I mean, I get the concept is that the devil, and this is what Wes Craven said. He goes, when I thought of Freddy, I had to think of the most vile creature on earth, and that, of course, being a child molester, a child murderer, anybody who could hurt a child in general, right?
Yep.
And not only that, okay, so you have the vigilante justice aspect of it, because he gets off on a technicality, right? Like, he's caught red-handed or whatever, but he's let go over a stupid technicality, and the parents do vigilante justice on him, and that's supposedly what they're paying for. That never really kind of sat well with me, right? The concept is great, the whole thing is there, but that's just kind of like, well, it's a little imbalanced. If you make it to where Freddy was innocent and the kids lied on his ass, then it makes the whole equation a little different, because the parents aren't even a part of the remake, and then by the time you get back around to the original part of them burning him, well, then you're like, well, then what the fuck are the parents? Where are the parents through this whole thing? Because they're like almost non-existent through the whole movie, except for like 2 scenes. And you're just like, okay, so you really minimalize the parents, even though they're still the reason this is happening. Right? Because that to me, I had a problem with. Because otherwise you eliminate the parent factor once it's these kids themselves that lied on this guy. And that's what caused the parents to go on this rampage, right? Like, that's, the lessons in there, I think, are a little bit more solid if they would have stuck with it. That's just me.
It's like you said about... sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like, you don't want to make him the hero, right? It's a tricky tightrope.
Not even so much a hero, but a sympathetic character as to why he has a reason to do it. Is what I meant to see.
Like, well, exactly, right. But you do want to develop the characters that he's attacking, and so there has to be something to them as to why they are susceptible, without making them the villains. And
my whole point was too, if you're going to remake something, why not bring something new to the table as well? That's my whole point. But sorry.
Sometimes when you bring in something new, it ruins something that worked so good about the original.
Did it though? That was my question, Nick. That was the whole point of that spiel.
I understand.
Like, does it really work that well?
But in general speaking, that's something a lot of remakes tend to do, because they want to put their own spin, which most, and maybe that's just the purist in me. For me, I'm just like, what's the point for me of all this?
Well,
I
at
get
the
when
end
they
of the
want to try
day,
to make something better, but I'm just
at the end of the day, as far as the new Nightmare on Elm Street film and all that kind of business goes, I think that
Mhm.
the best way to approach this, if you're going to do this at all, since they're going to do it anyway,
Mhm.
is to
Which they
basically not
will.
do a movie. And that is start with like a Bates Motel type series, kind of like what they're doing with Jason.
Mhm.
That is kind of just explore the world, start with a prequel, see Freddy before he was Freddy Krueger, the nightmare demon, and
Mhm.
kind of lead up to all that. That to me is the only interesting part of the story that's never really been explored anyway. Other than that, like I'm kind of with you guys in a sense that why even mess with it without Robert
Mhm.
Englund? It's not really Freddy Krueger anyway.
I got kind of a contrarian point. I think your idea is not bad per se. I think there's actually some merit to it, but I think the one minor flaw in that, and this is not exclusive to that, is that every single thing now in the world has backstory, but there's no mystery around anything anymore. There's no
Well, and there's
mystery.
no that's the one beauty of Freddy is he's one of the few characters where the two times they have really added to his backstory,
Hmm.
or the few times we've ever gotten any of his backstory, it didn't help it didn't ruin his character. It actually helped make his character that more
Hmm.
much more vile. Right?
Hmm.
Like, when
No,
we
I, and
initially get
I,
the whole backstory, and then we find out he's the bastard son of 100 maniacs. Like,
yeah,
Right.
I get that angle, and I could see your point on that. I do. I just
One
find
of the
we're
movies
not
had his
having
mother in it.
anything. We're not having anything we can imagine anymore. Because once again, there was a beauty to imagining what could have been, and I feel like that is kind of slowly being
I
taken
mean, can
away.
you imagine seeing
Taken
Freddy growing
away.
up as a little fucking freaky teenager?
You look like Walter J. Kovacs from Russia.
What were you gonna
Not
say,
which
Price?
movie is the one? Which one was the one that there was like his nun mother, like her spirit? You know what I'm saying? Like there was a
That's the
ghost of
fifth
his
one.
mother. That's
Yep.
the fifth one.
Well, third and
Kind of,
fifth one. Third and fifth one. Sorry.
Mhm.
kind of like that. I also wanted to say before that with Freddy, I think that in the original first movie, they didn't make him as comical. They didn't know he
No.
was the anti-hero then. That's why they easily made him like the molesty guy, because I think that in the first one he's more menacing. And then with
Yes.
every like additional installment, they're like, everybody's coming to see you. Like, why don't we give you more kind of one-liners and funny humor and whatever? And I don't hate it, but it sort of shifted his character a little bit between movie
It.
to movie.
The third film's kind of where they got the pitch perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because the first film's great. Don't get me wrong; it's a classic of horror. It will always be.
Right.
The
Agreed.
second film was a misstep. In
Yes.
hindsight, it has value, but at the time, it was a huge misstep. But it's also one of the few times you can go where a studio has actually taken note and said, "Look, we fucked up. We need to reset everything. Make sure we set rules in place and never deviate from these rules again." And in that point, they talked Wes Craven into coming back. They didn't use all of his script. They used his concepts though. And Chuck Russell was kind of the key there, and Frank Darabont, and that's a name you might recognize, Frank Darabont, especially.
Walking Dead, yeah.
Yeah. He and Chuck reworked that script into what we got because they kind of had this idea of the concept of, Freddy has these elaborate powers in his dreams. What if these kids could muster up these powers in their dreams? And that was also from the original concept, and there was many things borrowed from there. But then they added the extra level in that third film of, Freddy's mother being this victim of this horrible, conception without saying the actual word.
Right.
And how he was the result of this. And that was kind of some of the elements I liked about Freddy's Dead was getting to flashback when his daughter gets into his head. And we get to kind of flashback and see him growing up and the shit that he dealt with and how he was as a kid. Like that's, I think, some interesting elements they could get into. Some things like his mother, how his mother dealt with it. Like, was she excommunicated from her original convent, or what happened to her? I mean, we know that how she died from the movies, but that's it. We know she died in that room that she has to be let free from in the fifth movie. And
Right.
that's, kind of how that works. But like, there is some interesting. I've always loved Nightmare on Elm Street because it has a very fantasy base to it. It was never like the hack and slash movies of like Friday the 13th and Halloween and stuff became. It always had more imagination, and it had New Line Cinema making sure that they were trying to deliver every time because that was their bread and butter. Like, I suggest you guys, if you haven't heard it yet, check out our interview with Robert Shea. He talks a lot of this stuff, and I wish we had a lot more time to talk to him because he's the type of guy we need more of in Hollywood nowadays, as far as the movers and the shakers who can get shit done. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can work anything out with
was it
Nightmare
the
on Elm
fourth
Street or
one
not.
that they go into a time loop, that they're running around inside a dream that's like a time loop?
Yeah, Freddy puts them in
Yeah,
a
I think
time
so.
loop. Yeah.
I liked, it's like you said, they had kind of fantasy imaginative ideas in the middle that like they actually tried to do something different from every movie to movie. Each
I
time add like
agree.
a little twist or something. I did kind of like that.
I love that,
Yeah.
but I feel like it really made that. I really feel like as far as the slashers go, it really, it definitely felt like they were trying to be above the competition. It felt like, how could we stand out? It's like, and they are already had many elements that really made it stand out. So I felt like they're just adding more layers to the mix. I feel like that's definitely, to me. I mean, as far as a franchise as a whole, I feel like that's the best one as a collective. Individually, I still think Halloween the first is the best, but as a collective, I feel like that one's got the strongest amount of movies.
Mhm. Well, I mean, to me personally, like pound for pound, I think the Nightmare series, and that's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion as a critic.
No.
All the
Well, which
movies,
is
even
your
the second
single
film
favorite? Which is your
of the
single
Nightmare
favorite, Tom?
series.
No, of the slashers in general.
Oh,
Because I think
Freddy always has
I'm
been.
okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Freddy's always been my go-to.
He's my favorite series as well. Like I said, as a collective
Yeah.
whole, he's my favorite series because I feel like I said, there's so many sequels in Halloween. As much as of the first one, they're absolutely atrocious, unwatchable. But yeah,
That's what I
no,
was saying is, yeah, even the worst of the Nightmare series is
it's not
better
that bad.
than some of the best of some of the other series. Like even
I
Nightmare 2 and
agree.
5 are the ones that most fans hold. And now Freddy's dead over, like, for some reason retroactively it became a bad movie. And I can understand why. Like the concept of Freddy having a daughter, really, that's the one time they added something to his backstory that really kind of just like, why?
I also thought that it looked kind of cheap from what I remember. Is it possible that Freddy's Dead kind of looked cheap? Am I wrong on this?
I don't know about that because that was the one they spent the most money on, I believe, at the time.
They
But it did
did?
have the 3D effects at the end, so that made things look wonky. Because the last 15 minutes of the movie were in 3D.
I feel like they didn't put enough makeup on him on the sixth one. Something about it. I remember watching it at some point again, and I was
Freddy
like,
got like after part 4, when in part 5 and 6, he got like softer makeup. It was weird. Like they toned it down a little bit. They made him less like slimy and more softer
and
features.
to me that looked cheap. You know what I mean? That's what maybe they had a
I can
bunch
see what
more
you're
money.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looked weird.
We should do a watch party on Jason X, Tom.
Oh Lord.
And better yet, we
talk
can
about a
do it
movie
on...
that leaked online. I remember seeing that over a year before it came out because it leaked.
No, seriously?
Oh yeah, that was the first movie I ever downloaded off the internet.
Oh, how long?
Because I was like,
days?
Not really, because I was working at an ISP at the time, so we had like screaming mad service, but like it was just weird because I think I downloaded like a few clips and cartoons and things, and then all of a sudden here's like this whole movie of Jason X. I'm like, what?
Space.
Like that can't be the whole movie. It's not even out yet till like next May or whatever it was. And it's like, no, sure as shit, it was the whole movie. Not only that, it was a earlier cut of the movie too on top of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Now see, that's the best story that's ever come out of Jason X ever.
Hey, Culture, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I saw the Meg 2.
You saw the Meg 2. What did you think?
It was a movie.
Oh,
that's not good.
No. It is exactly what you think it will be.
It's how compared to the first one, anyway.
It is exactly what you think it'll be.
I was really,
It's don't misunderstand. It's not bad. It's not bad. I just recorded my review and everything. The film is not bad. It's not bad.
All right. Well, it's going to do very well in China, I saw.
It is going to do very well in China. I think I actually mentioned that in my review, that China is going to love this movie.
In fact, it
China.
looks like they're going to make all their
Wow.
money in China. Holy shit! Like $70 billion. It looks like for the
Holy
weekend.
Christ.
70 million, I think it was. Yeah.
It's going to do very well in China. So
Yeah.
China.
It ain't going to come anywhere near that here in the U.S. But anyway,
yeah.
you just come in here and you take over the show. So we're going to
Okay.
do super chats for a few minutes.
Ah, cool. All right, so I'm going to read the super chats. Is that the plan?
You can if you want.
All right, cool. This is from Sutter Hammerslag, member for 8 months. Says, you think Kevin Spacey will get new film roles after his?
Oh
latest
yeah, we read this one already.
Oh, okay. Camobot Killer for $5.
We read this one already.
Oh.
This is what happens when you don't have 6 here.
Mega J for $5 says Seth Rogen is Splinter.
You know, I know you're gay.
Yeah.
Because you make out with
Bugs.
Right.
That's actually good.
That's from 40-year-old virgin.
That's funnier than anything in the fucking TMNT movie. Goddess of Whim, how you doing, Goddess? Says, have you guys seen the trailer for The Last Voyage of Demeter? Yes. I'm so excited for it. Vampires are trying to make a comeback. Yeah, I'm excited for this. We were talking about it yesterday on Mr. H's stream.
Yes.
And I remember seeing the trailer the first time before Renfield. I'm like, ooh, this looks interesting. And I saw the newer trailer where they actually see the full-fledged Bat Dracula.
Wait a minute.
Like,
did you just say? Hang on. Did you just say yesterday when we were hanging out with Mr. H?
Wasn't it yesterday or was it today?
It was today.
But when we were talking about this, was it? Oh, it was a Tuesday show. I think we were talking.
Yeah, we did talk about it on Tuesday. But
my days meld together, man. Shut up.
I was the one up at 4:30.
It's still Monday in my brain. Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. I can't wait to see it, actually.
Yeah.
Accident Seller says, have you talked about the Strange New World Klingon skit yet? No, not really.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
That thing is
I'm afraid to show any of it.
If you want to destroy all of your
This
cringe
is the
muscles,
moment I've been waiting for Claudia to go off about.
No,
this.
I can't. No.
Please do.
I had this. I've suffered through this piece of filth show. No matter how bad it's gotten, I could not get through. I got about halfway through this garbage, and I had to stop. It was around 3 a.m, and I said, "You know what? I can't do it. Star Trek can be destroyed all day long, but to have this kind of degradation." I went back a little bit later and I started watching bits and pieces, and I think you could kill yourself by cringing too much, right? I think that is a physical danger. Is that not right?
Could be. I mean, it could happen.
If you cringe too much, you could call doesn't have like specialists for that sort of thing. There's a cringe doctor and stuff like that. So I was about to call an ambulance.
Call me Dr. Cringe.
I fast forwarded a couple of times because it was so. I cannot put into words right now how bad this piece of. Oh, stop! Don't do it! Don't do it. The Klingon bit, by the
mermaid look good, doesn't it?
Well, by the time you get to the Klingon bit, at least it's mercifully short. You probably just don't care to live anymore. But right now, I just have no interest in living at all. Anybody? Hey, Culture, do you like comics? I got a lot of comics. You can have mine. I don't need them anymore.
I love comics, but I need you to stick around. Okay?
I think you can have my comics. Nick can have some of them as well. I'll leave it all to you guys. My action figures.
Okay.
Okay.
No. We want you to stick around, Clobby. We like you.
Well, thank you. But if you ever see me in public, knowing what I've been through watching that episode, just take the shot right to the head.
You're a hollowed out shell of a man, huh?
That's a big shell too.
I'm sorry.
It's
Clobby.
the show's horrible.
I've heard.
But this exceeds all. I mean, I can't even put properly into words how bad this musical filth is. They didn't earn the right to do a musical. I'm not knocking the actors. All actors think they're musical. You know, I want to be in that big dream musical, right? You know, and they all think they can sing and all this other kind of crap. This is not Star Trek, folks. Not that it's been Star Trek since 2005, but this is a special level of hell. If you're a Trek fan and you just subject yourself to shitty episodes so you can review them or talk about them, I suggest you don't do this. Even if you have been watching the show.
Not that one.
It is so bad.
Okay.
Sorry.
You sound dispirited. I don't like that.
I don't know. I just
Do they tap dance? That's a good question.
They do everything. They whack dance. They wank all over the bridge.
Wank?
Yes. It's a whole. I'm kidding. They dance all over the place. The Klingons dance.
Wank dancing? Is that a thing now? Like,
well, someone did make the point. I guess it was R&B said it's Klingons. At least they should have sang opera, right?
Right. Yeah.
That would have been
like
really disturbing.
So it's like penis puppetry?
Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's yeah, it's. Oh my God, is that horrible?
Accident Seller sends in 20 Norwegian krona and says Skyfall was a lousy reboot of Home Alone.
See,
Yes.
see.
Really?
Now, if Price of Reason watched that, I don't think he'd come away with penis puppetry.
I've never heard that term, but if
You're
you say it,
embarrassing us.
I agree.
Me?
We have been so good on this show.
Me?
Yes, we hadn't brought up one Bob or Vagina.
We're not allowed to
come
say
in here.
penis?
No, I'm picking on you. Mr. Tickle Trunk says rather people start ripping off a series like Nightmare, new dream killer character, new angles, steal ideas Hollywood used to do. Yeah, that's true too.
I think I've said penis like 5 times now.
That brings it back to what I was saying
It's
earlier.
not-
Like, do something that is, you could say, very influenced by stuff that came before, but also original enough so it can also pass off as your own thing.
Yeah.
That way, there's still at least a sliver of recognizability. Like, oh, okay, that looks a little bit influenced like that. If I saw someone say, "Hey, this is for fans of, I don't know, Death Wish 3," if I heard that as the advertisement for any action thing, I'm like, okay, that's a starting point. Original thing, but saying Death Wish 3. So it clearly knows what kind of audience they're trying to have.
The only thing I will say about this, to where I've always at least tried to keep an open mind when it comes to a possible Nightmare on Elm Street remake or somebody else ever playing Freddy, is that to me, our generation's Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman was Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers and Leatherface and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
You're
in
right.
that respect, I don't want them to die off completely, because look at Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman, etc. They have had how many different incarnations, how many great actors have taken, like, shit. There's some people who almost consider Christopher Lee the quintessential Dracula as opposed to Bela Lugosi. And you think about it, Bela only played the part twice, technically.
Mhm. Yep.
So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not against the idea, but you got to really find the right guy. And the sad part is Jackie Earle Haley could have pulled it off had he had a decent script.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not against it. I mean, we've had 20 different Jasons. Like, I love Kane Hodder, don't get me wrong, but we'll have 20 more Jasons probably before I die.
But Freddie has a personality. Jason doesn't. So Robert Englund.
Right.
That is true, and that kind of goes, but that was why I brought up Dracula, right? Because of all those earlier guys, he's the one that had the personality, and you have to have a gravitas to play Dracula.
A gravitas?
What am I looking? Isn't that a word?
Now,
England was
how many?
Robert Sauce is a word, yeah.
Okay, so I get your point, Tom, on that regard, because that's a very great argument. Now, how long do you go on and then you give the next generation their horror icons? I think that's the thing.
And that's fair as well. That's very fair.
We're on almost half a century since Halloween.
Nick, we have plenty of horror icons out there. You have Nancy Pelosi, AOC.
Wow.
Horrible icons. Horrible.
You're sounding Glenn Danzig when he said, yeah, politics is horror. I mean, I guess he was not wrong.
All right. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, hell, make the killer put people to sleep with there's two versions of him and excuse me. Two versions of him, and you have to fight. It's so easy to make something new from successful old. I actually have a horror movie idea myself that's kind of loosely inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm not saying what it is.
Ooh, see, Tom, now I want to listen to that. Now you got my attention with that.
Poetic. Well, it's loosely based on urban legend from where I'm from here, and the rest is kind of inspired by Freddy. But yeah, Abdulio says poetic that a child Jason finally defeats Freddy. Yeah, that's true. Monkey Jeebus has been a member for 11 months. Thank you, Monkey. General Sod says I saw Talk to Me and had to look away at one point. I've been hearing about this, but I don't know if it's really something I'll be into. I seen you go off there, Culture. What's the whole point of this Talk to Me movie? I haven't seen the trailers or nothing.
I don't know very much about it. I saw the trailer. It's intriguing. I'm looking forward to it. I still couldn't tell you what it's about. So I'm looking forward.
Did you have some crack before you got out here?
Why?
You are like You have
He
sugar.
must have had a whole. He must have had a whole slushy at the movie.
He had a
theater.
pixie stick at the theater.
I did not. What I had. This is funny.
The missus let him have some sugar.
No. I had a thing of fries. I don't eat starch.
That ain't gonna make you don't act like this after a fucking
Oh,
thing of
what?
fries.
I
You
do.
lying sack of crap.
Oh, I
You
had.
snuck some candy, didn't you?
No.
Yes, you did.
He's lying.
Special
I
order.
did not. No
That's
candy.
That's
I
your
didn't have a
lying.
slip-up.
No,
I had a
I know
bottle.
your nose. When
This
you're
is
telling the
getting
truth, it's
romantic.
no. When you're lying, it's no. That's how I know.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not true.
This
I
sounds
He
like a
had
roast thing
M&Ms
now.
or sweet tarts or something. He's full of shit.
No. The only thing. The only
now
thing
he
I
did
had,
it on purpose.
The only thing I had. The only thing I had today, outside of 2 hamburgers and breakfast, which was bacon and eggs, was water, fries, water. That's it. I haven't had nothing
You had
else.
a cup of coffee or something in there,
Oh, I
you
did have
liar.
coffee with breakfast.
See, I knew it.
That was
Well,
like
what was
hours
it just
ago.
with breakfast? You had it in the last 2 hours.
Nope.
He Ric Flaired it. He drank a gallon of coffee after the movie.
Yeah, I don't
He
know. I
went
just
to
gotta pick on
Dunkin' Donuts.
I like
and
seeing
bought
him
the
all
box
peppy.
of Joe.
I'm
He
not
bought
used
the
to seeing
box
him
of
so
Joe.
peppy, so I'm glad to
I
see
have-
him. so
What
peppy.
burger was it?
Yeah,
I
what kind of burgers?
Oh, I had 2 burgers. They're homemade burger patties, right? And then I put like pepper jack cheese on them, and then I put a little hot sauce on them, and I eat them. I don't even use butter.
Jesus, you trying to give yourself heartburn? Holy crap!
No, it's fantastic. I'm bulletproof.
I'm not a
dude.
spicy guy.
See,
Yeah.
Oh,
now that
oh,
sounds,
you
that
gotta go
sounds
all
awesome.
spice.
Sir, go on.
Just
Tell me
load it
about
up.
your spice.
I'm having actually tonight.
You
tonight
would change shades of color.
What?
CC, if you ate shit spicy.
Oh, him? Yeah.
Yes, he'd
Oh,
go
no,
through like 3 shades
I
of
dump
red.
spice. I dump so much spice. You have no idea.
I know, I'm
The
just picking
spicier,
on-
the better.
Jeez.
I'll just-
I've always been a spice wuss. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
you-
lie. 16-bit mascot says, "Hey dudes, always enjoy the channel. Hope you're having a fine Thursday." Hail the chat. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Woo!
Sean Carter says TMNT prophylactics are only usable if you're not circumcised.
Ooh.
Oh, so if you have a shell, you're not good. I don't know.
Mm.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says Dracula, etc. are archetypes, though. You're sort of proving my point. Freddy isn't one yet. Give us more Freddy, Jason like monsters. We need more.
You need dream warriors.
I see your argument here, Mr. Tickle Trunk, to a point, but even a lot of I don't remember too many archetypes of Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, and usually they were just that, right? There's just different versions. There was a couple other vampires, I guess, but not many, and one of them being Blackula doesn't help your argument.
I've been away.
Wasn't Eddie Murphy a vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Harlem,
Vampire in Brooklyn, yes.
Brooklyn, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wes Craven directed it,
It
no
was.
less.
Yeah, that was fun.
I've been awake for 14 hours, Tom.
That's why you're wired.
Loopy.
Loopy.
Warrior of Justice says,
I
"What
don't
does
know.
a
I'm
pimp
loopy,
and
sorry.
what does a pimp and Neil deGrasse Tyson have in
Oh my
common?
God.
They both look for
Oh.
black hole." Hello, Nicolas Cage, Tom, CC, Liar, Casino, and Beautiful. You know, that's actually not very bad for Warrior of Justice. That was an improvement.
Yeah, it's,
That was a little bit of an improvement there.
Calling me a liar?
What about you being a liar has nothing to do with Warrior of Justice?
Says liar casino.
Well, because you are a fucking liar.
I did
You
not.
had coffee and pixie sticks, and you put the
You
pixie
did.
sticks in the big
In the
black
coffee.
coffee.
Sounds great though. I think
You
It
mentioned
does,
water
right?
that
Had
many
the big black
times. There's
coffee.
something
Oh
suspect.
my god!
You
the
had the
coffee.
BBC with your pixie sticks in it.
Oh my
Hey,
god! The coffee.
you know what? I drink it with you.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says, "Look, Tom, I'm desperate for creativity. LOL. Well, if things work out, maybe you'll see my nightmare-inspired
Jin
movie
Wong!
eventually." Jin Wong is here and sends in 10 Australian dollars and says, "Penis puppetry is a real thing. This is true. A couple of guys used to do a show in Australia. Puppetry of the penis is basically it's prop comedy using your thing. You do need a foot of material to work with." Oh,
True story. True story.
yes.
Yeah.
There's that episode of South Park too, which is hilarious.
why do I
They
now know this?
They also made like shadow puppets with their peens too. Like it's
Why do I now know those two things?
Because you
Team
stream with
puppet.
Culture Casino.
I
That's
could have
why.
not known those things.
Yep.
Right.
I know.
I'm not responsible, despite it being at my house.
The more
It's
you
my
know.
house.
This
Hey,
is my house. You know what it is? And if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I'm drunk.
love that.
So what? I got drunk and it's beautiful.
Beautiful, baby.
It's beautiful.
I
One of my
got drunk
favorites.
in my house, drinking out of my glass in my motherfucking kitchen. If you don't like it, kiss my ass if you don't like it.
Get the fuck out.
Oh, one of my favorite.
You know what it
Eddie
is?
Murphy.
You know what it is? I don't give a fuck.
Love it, dude.
I'm gonna kick the
Well
dog.
done.
I don't give a shit. I'm gonna kick the dog, Eddie.
I kick your dog.
You want to know
Eddie?
why it is? Because you don't pick up after the dog. You don't pick up after it. It's not Scooby Doo, motherfucker. There's shit that's been in the den for 3 months, Eddie. 3 months. Piece of shit. I thought it's furniture now. I put a drink on it, Eddie.
It's a fucking friends come over and say that's lovely. That's not lovely. That's a piece of shit.
So yeah, it's not lovely. It's a piece of shit. Because you don't clean up after it. You can get the fuck out. I don't care. I know you're 7. I know you're 7. You'll be a 7-year-old walking the dog, no house motherfucker.
Oh, 6 wants to talk about Meg 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
I tried to, and then
Sean
I
Carter, Goonie Google. What kind of fucking shit is that?
Coonie
Your
Goo.
wife's a Bigfoot, isn't she, Gus? You shaved the bitch down and you taught her to speak. She can't walk well, Gus. I bet she climbed the fuck out of Trito, don't she, Gus?
Oh, clever.
You could take your fucking Bigfoot wife with your Bigfoot children and get in the Bigfoot car and you get the fuck out. And if my wife don't like it, she can get the fuck out too. You missed me, bitch.
God.
I can do that whole fucking bit.
Can you do the whole thing? Oh my god.
Absolutely, from beginning to end. I can do the disco. What the fuck are you doing in the disco with Danny Terrio? You know why that man kicked your ass? It's because it's something you did when you live in here. You know why? Who broke the lamp in 1972, Eddie? It was you. I know you did it. That's why that man kicked your ass tonight. Tell him your father said thank you. Rob Altus says, Clobby, it comes with the territory.
You said it, Kimasabi. Good to see you there, Rob, brother.
And then Warrior Justice says, Lizzo gave Casino a pixel stick that he will eat. Ugh. Yeah,
Wow.
Lizzo.
No.
Y'all some those
This is gonna go for 20 minutes, folks. Hey, we haven't literally lost too many viewers, though. That's what's funny.
Sorry.
Now do Harlem. Why'd you shoot her in a pinky toe?
Shot got a pinky toe.
Anybody else want to live?
So funny.
Okay, let's see here. We left off with June. We did that one. Okay, we're all caught up on super chats, guys. So that's it. It's a show. I want to thank everybody. Oh, we got one more from Mr. Tickle Trunk who says Eddie Murphy impression stream SC requests. Oh God. Nice. I used to have actual teachers in school who would sit there and encourage me sometimes when I would do it because they loved it. I do the whole bit sometimes, like even the whole like, you know, hey, you.
Oh man, listen to that tape so many times back in the 80s.
And then be like,
riding around,
show up at the airport and be like, pull over, woo, woo, woo. There's no sign, it's just an actual on top of the car going, woo, woo.
Oh man, he's so canceled for that.
What is
he could
this?
never
is
do
this
that today.
You're right. You're right, Press Reason. You're right.
I heard you did some jokes about me. No, you didn't. I guess I didn't. I was at a party once. I heard Michael Jackson's looking for you. I'm like, so? Like, Mike, no way, but $1.05. I'm off the floor with Mike. That was at another party, though. They're like, Mr. T's looking for you. I was like, shit. And I got the fuck out of there quick. But I'm like, wait a minute now. Mr. T don't seem all that bright. Maybe I could like use a Jedi mind trick on him or something like,
oh boy.
Hey boy, come here, boy. I heard you did some jokes about me. No, you didn't. Guess I didn't. I'm gonna go beat up the food and tell me them lies.
I saw him live in 19 85. He was just man.
Oh, so did you see? Was he still doing Delirious, or was he
This
doing
right between Delirious and Raw?
Oh wow!
Okay, what was he doing there? Was he
Right before-
testing Raw stuff out, or
Yeah, because a lot of it ended up in Raw when we saw the one with
that's
the
what
film.
I figured. Yeah,
But yeah,
because
a
his
lot of
one
it was-
before Delirious, most people don't know was even it was funny too. But go ahead, sorry.
No. I'm saying, just laugh till it hurt. I mean, it was great, incredible.
You can't even do half the shit on his first album now.
Nope.
You could barely talk about half that shit now. Like, I mean, some of those skits are just like, holy shit, like buckwheat. Like, what the fuck did that dude just call you?
Which
It's
one
my
was it?
family. We're all named after, you know, how some people named it after the fathers. We're named after our father's favorite cereal. I'm buckwheat. This is my brother
Elvis was
Farina.
Delirious?
What was that?
Elvis was Delirious, because that's a good bit.
Yeah. But the what I was just doing, it's like, and then we got my cousin over here. He's retired. That's Special K. We got my gay cousin that's Fruit Loops, and his best friend Tricks. The only bit you can do there now that's on that album is the Poltergeist bit, which he did on Carson, where he talks about, you know, black people don't stay in a haunted house.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit more risque in that version.
Oh, it's so great.
Hey, baby, ain't this beautiful? We got a great deal on this house. It's just nice. Man, we can't stay though.
Hey, baby.
I was watching Poltergeist. I'm like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out. Go down to the cops, let them know. Be like, hey, the TV ate my kid. No, I just wanted to let you know so you don't think I killed the bitch or something. Of course I tried to save her. I changed the channel. Shit didn't work. I got the fuck out.
You go in there. Oh God, he killed it, man. Lively was ridiculous, but I mean, like you know, his bits would go on forever. But man,
oh hell yeah! All right, well, we did lose about 20 people now,
Sorry.
We got to get out of here. We've got Thursday Night Throwdown, and I'm actually going to be joining the Manorama.
What?
Over on Rumble, and I'm afraid to share the Rumble link in the chat because I've heard
that's bad.
YouTube doesn't like it.
Oh, tell those Manorama guys I'm going to go hang out with them here pretty quick. So like maybe
it's a really great show.
I'm gonna head over there for that, and then when I'm done there, I'll pop over to Thursday Night Throwdown if it's still going. And
give them my regards in Broadway.
Yes,
I will. We're gonna talk about 80s movies that influenced us tonight, I guess.
Oh wow, I know some of those.
Yeah, right. That's easy.
What a feeling.
So did anybody else enjoy Flashdance?
What made you think of that?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't hate that movie.
It's not a very good movie, but it's fun to watch.
It worked. It worked.
And it's got a killer soundtrack. Yes.
CC is like, I am so embarrassed right now. Sorry, Price of Reason. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I'm saying there's something so over the top 80s about that movie that you kind of have to just look at it fondly, even though you know it's ridiculous.
Well, and then think about it, man. She's still hot. She's still hot.
That's true.
She didn't even look like she aged at all.
I agree. Yeah, no, I liked her then, and I think she's all right now too.
Culture, take your passion and make it happen.
And make it happen.
Dun, 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 dun. Did you guys see the 4K steelbook of that came out?
Oh, no way.
It's like one of the most 80s things I've ever seen hang out.
I want one of those. Okay, I'm gonna have to go look for that. Oh, and CC, I need to be on the karaoke thing again. I tried last time, but it didn't work out because I had family junk. But I got to do the karaoke thing because I've been unprepared my whole life.
I think people were missing you last week, but I'll send you the invite again if you're available. We'll get it going.
Nikki's gonna leave us. I'm gonna leave us. I'm gonna eat a food. I gotta eat more food.
Oh yeah, food.
Get some coffee.
Need some food too.
All right, dude.
Not more water this time.
I like water. I drink a lot of water, dude. I filled up my water bottle.
It's good for you.
Oh wow!
Just a little bit suspect.
Who do we lose? Nick had to go.
Yeah, he's like peace.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, isn't that like one of the most 80s things you've ever seen in your life?
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it on the back. What a feeling.
I love it. Long time.
You do love it. Long time.
Pink Floyd. Momentary lapse of reason. I stand by that. 80s. Very 80s.
What'd you say, Price?
I said, well, I wanted to answer him. Momentary Lapse of Reason isn't their best album, though. It's like probably on the bottom of the list of albums.
I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of like it's probably their best post Waters Floyd album,
Yes.
but
You know, I kind of
yeah,
liked is it Division Bell? Division Bell, I think I liked. It had
It's
high
alright.
hopes in it. Anything that has high hopes has to be better than Momentary Lapse, in my opinion.
well, the
I
thing
can
is
tell
is
you're not a fan.
I really dig the song Learning to Fly. That's the thing.
And
I think they did write that when Waters was still around, but they never used it.
I'll
But
tell you
yeah.
what, I heard the live versions of that album, and I just felt like it was so quintessentially 80s. And then I realized to myself, you know what? Maybe Pink Floyd is timeless, but if something is quintessentially 80s, it's like, wait, that's a good thing, right? If I just like I associate in my brain that it's completely the best of 80s. Anyway,
Fair enough.
I'm getting
it's
us
a good
off in another
album.
direction, but
I'm in no way. I'm not saying that it's crap. I'm just saying that if I compare it to Pulse or like their other albums, maybe I like it more than the Final Cut, because the Final Cut I never really liked that album.
I didn't like that one. Yeah.
yeah, that's just creative differences, right?
Yeah, you could
Literally
feel that they had
embodied.
issues there. At least like they're kind of flowing with the vibe with the Momentary Lapse of Reason. Learning to Fly, I like it better the way they play it on Pulse. Like when they play it live, the song improves when you hear it live.
Well, Floyd is
thing,
one of
right?
those
Is like,
rare bands that they do sound in some cases better live, or they're
Yes.
They always sound
make
better
sure
live.
they're
Yeah.
But
Well, they always do. Their live albums.
there's
are
only
better.
a couple of bands that I really ever wanted to see live because they're
I should
awesome
say
live.
their live bootlegs are better.
Yeah. Queen and Pink Floyd are two of the ones that is like they know how to put on a fucking show, clearly.
Hey, Zeppelin too.
Yeah, but man, I mean, whatever they do, their production makes like whatever they did in the studio just seem weak. It's so amazing. Queen was the king of that. Though. Queen was the king. I can't stop saying it. Anyway, Queen was like the best of them to do that. Though they really when they delivered a live show, it just knocked your socks off, man.
It was never the same. That was the other thing. It was always Freddie knew how to deliver a live performance that didn't feel like you're sitting in the studio.
Right, and it didn't feel the same every time. I mean, that guy
exactly.
He didn't. It wasn't choreographed in any way. It just was crazy, ridiculous, awesome. It was. That's the one thing that what's his name, Remy, whatever his name is. The
Mr.
guy
Robot.
Yeah, the guy that played him in the movie. I mean, I was like, oh my god, he just actually literally became Freddy. Good Christ.
I was against it at first, but after I saw the film, I'm like, all right, he could still be like a foot taller, but all right.
Clobby got to go.
All right,
yeah, I was going to say, Clobby's got to go, so we're going to get out of here. Clobby, go ahead and go first.
Okay, thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. I'm just going to go get ready for the show and about half an hour.
No worries.
Hour at the clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. Good to see you, Casino, buddy, and Price of Reason. Nice to meet you. And
nice to meet you too.
Karaoke, always a pleasure, my buddy. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, the great chat. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Peace.
Whew. And then there were 4. There was a
Indeed. And our special guest, Price of Reason. Why don't you plug your channel, my friend?
Oh man, I was doing my bit. You took away my bit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was paying attention, Culture.
It's just Price of Reason, like on YouTube.
It is.
It's awesome, by the way. Follow Price of Reason. He's awesome.
Oh, I missed a super chat from Goddess.
I think he's great. I've told him that a lot. He makes awesome videos.
I watch your videos too, Culture. We actually talk we actually communicate from time to time. So
I know, it's fantastic.
This is the first time that we've interacted like more like in a live setting.
I know that's Tom's fault. It's Tom's fault.
What is that my fault?
He's been holding us apart.
Fine.
Well, now he brought everybody together, so it's cool.
Right. Yeah, I feel like we were a band that reunited for the first time.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Okay, CC Karaoke. That's your
yes,
your way seg.
Well, tomorrow's Friday, and that means karaoke. I run it every Friday night, late
Karaoke.
night. Pretty much almost Saturday at that point. Yeah, we'll just sing some songs, Tom and I, and hopefully Culture Casino, and anybody else we can scrounge up off the fly.
Scrounge.
Favorite friends and singers.
Need to get 6 to come back. 6.
That'd be great. Yeah, it's just it's tough.
Get that,
She doesn't seem to want
that
to come over.
smoky feminine energy in there.
Yeah. Need some of that. Need some of that sultry. Such a great voice too.
Sorry. Yoda was excited there for a minute.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
6 says next May she'll be there.
Next
once a
May.
year. It's the event of the year.
Yeah. La 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 la.
All right. Supposedly we missed a super chat from Gotta Swim, so I'm looking here. I know we got one earlier. Have you guys seen the trailers for Last Voyage of Demeter? We talked about that one.
It's great. Can't wait to see it.
And I know we got a few more on the screen here we got to get yet.
On the screen.
Valentine's Tube sent us that was from yeah. Oh no, that was from the last one. Okay, so no. All right. What's your first thought? Give us a thumbs up. That was from yesterday.
This is a weird charger.
Okay, we got that one.
Red thing. You ever seen a charger with a red thing in it? It's weird.
I'm not seeing another one. Gotta Swim. We did get yours earlier, but we also have one now from Scotty Joe.
Scotty Joe
says this is my first time tuning in, but this Eddie Murphy exchange was hilarious. Well, I'm glad we didn't drive you away, my friend, or new friend, I should say, Scotty Joe. And thank you. Yeah. We're glad we could break your cherry. Casperia says 6 asks, Tom, when is your next member stream? That's a good question. Andre has been traveling, so that's been kind of tough to pin him down. But hopefully this week, or next week, I should say. But I'm not going to hold myself to that, unfortunately. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, thank you, Gotta Swim. Yep, I knew they were there. I just was getting around.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I'm sorry. I thought you meant I missed yours. My bad. And who's left? Culture?
Sure. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel and an Odyssey channel and a Twitter and a Minds and a Getter and other stuff. Just find me there. This is me. And it looks like me. And me.
It was my fault, 6. I misinterpreted. My bad. There was one you missed. Yes. We got it now. Thank you.
Me.
Or was there another one I missed now? I swear I got them all. I just read them all behind the scenes here. Okay. How about MEAD Radio? One of these days. Unfortunately, I got to go to a funeral tomorrow, so I might not even be on the morning show. But maybe this weekend sometime, Sunday perhaps, the earliest, if not latest. We'll see, maybe tomorrow night, but we usually have karaoke tomorrow night, so if I get maybe beforehand, but doubtful.
Tom.
What?
Tommy,
I'm going to be on the Manorama. So find me on Manorama. I shared the link on Twitter and on the Facebook group. So follow me over there. Everybody's links should be in the description, including Price of Reason and maybe Culture Casinos if he's lucky.
90?
What? What is he talking about?
The Facebook group. What are you, 90?
We have a Facebook group, yes.
Okay.
But you got a problem with that?
I don't know. Do you have pictures of cats and stuff?
Stop eating my sesame cake. Stop eating my sesame cake!